Welcome to the Racist of the Month compilation. Now, typically, this is where we expose the stupidity and hypocrisy of discrimination in hopes that we can build a more perfect union and also laugh. As usual, I would like to thank today's sponsor, Racism. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the page, and definitely leave me any possible suggestions for nominees in the comments. It's been a wild month. From birtherism to Hawaiian cops to whites only jobs to birtherism to Nashville supremacists to reparations, back to birtherism. We even got a debut of a new segment I called Who Raised Y'all? And thanks to Ann Coulter for that one. So pay attention and let me know who you pick as the Racist of the Month in the comments. I also put a poll up on the community tab, which is as secure an election as we have, at least according to Fox News. All right, let's get this thing started. Today's nominee, MAGA. No sooner than Donald Trump doubled down on his Truth Social posts, this time at the NABJ convention.
Well, I can say, no, I think it's maybe a little bit different. So I've known her a long time indirectly, not directly very much. And she was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black. So I don't know, is she Indian or is she black?
She has always identified as a black woman. She went to a historically black college.
I respect either one, but she obviously doesn't, because she was Indian all the way, and then all of a sudden she made a turn and she became a black person.
Just to be clear, sir, do you believe that she is...
I think somebody should look into that too when you continue in a very hostile, nasty tone.
And he did it, by the way, while wearing blackface, which was kind of doubly foul. We ran through this with Kellyanne Conway. I don't know how you disrespect people with blackface. You should have a little bit more respect if you're going to adopt the complexion. Well, social media got flooded with Kamala is Indian posts. Now, this has been happening for the last few days, but now it was on.
They also said back then, and she campaigns on this, being the first Indian American senator elected to the Senate, although Pocahontas also had to run for her money. But, you know, she campaigns on being Indian American. Kamala Harris, Indian American. Now all of a sudden, she did a 180. She really is elevating and pushing her black side. I think it's like 25% maybe.
They was all jacked up on Mountain Dew.
I had a Diet Mountain Dew yesterday and one today. I'm sure they're going to call that racist too, but now I would call her up here to come and speak, that then I think I'd have to sleep on the couch tonight. So
I think my man Roy Wood Jr. said it best when he asked, we now know Kamala's brave story. When did the rest of you turn black? How old were you? Where were you when the blackness finally took over your body? Share your stories. This is a safe place. Hashtag when I turned black. You know, I think it was when I turned 9. We did field day in our elementary school, and we were in the middle of the relay race, and I pulled up because my gout started acting up. Whenever it was definitely before I started prep school, because I knew immediately that food had no seasoning. Turning black. And you know what? I get it, because Trump is used to people turning on him, like his entire senior staff from 2020, and his hotels, and his marriages. Somebody tell him that Trump University is closed. You are not in admissions trying to decide if somebody qualifies for the Harriet Tubman Scholarship. In other words, who is you? Let's address the condescension it takes to try and determine somebody else's blackness as a white guy. Oh yeah, we want to know if Kamala Harris is really black, so we talked to 3 unvaccinated Trump supporters at a Wendy's in Toms River. That's exactly how my timeline looked. What about the Trump flag on your 2012 Ford Fiesta qualifies you to examine somebody else's heritage. Once I pass 8 Twitter burner accounts, then now I can lord over black people, and I tell them where exactly they should go and what boxes they could check.
I am a strong woman, a mom, a lawyer, and an American. And unlike you, Kamala, I know who my roots are. I know where I come from.
You're not even qualified to be a lawyer, but now you're a genealogist. How about the fact that no other group has the audacity to sit there and try and determine where other people can go and how they should identify? No other group tries that. But you know what? I think we should, because if that's what we're doing, if we up here just claiming and rejecting folks, we're gonna take Tina Marie. I want to take Tom Hanks, David Bowie, Adele. I'll take a James Carville, Prince Harry, Eminem, Paul Wall, Robert De Niro, and Al Pacino. Do they have to be alive? Betty White, Mr. Rogers, John Brown. Throw me who you claiming in the comments so you can go ahead and email me that as well. But you know, MAGA just absolutely took this and ran with it because they love nothing more than a reason to be racist. Oh, Kamala took a picture with her family. She's Indian. Well, apparently, so is J.D. Vance. And he is definitely not going to like that because he felt the need to apologize for his Indian wife.
Look, I love my wife so much. I love her because she's who she is. Obviously, she's not a white person, and we've been attacked by some white supremacists over that. But I love Usha. She's such a good mom.
Also, does Nikki Haley know she's Indian? Oh, I'm sorry, Nimrata. But y'all not challenging that. You know who definitely knows is Vivek Ramaswamy.
Me too. Thanks for having me. That was a fantastic opening monologue. I too am a fan of yours. I'm going to make a point of disagreeing with you so that it will be fun. You are so bright and articulate, and I guess I can call you articulate since you're not an American black. Can't say that about them. That's derogatory. And that was a great opening segment. Lots of things to talk about there. Oh, and I agreed with many, many things you said during, in fact, probably more than most other candidates when you were running for president. But I still would not have voted for you because you're an Indian.
I'm starting to sense a theme here. This isn't so much about her being black. I think y'all just really got a problem with Indian people. Well, you know what? We know all about that, so she should feel right at home. And by the way, since we're talking about families, yours, Trump, is voting for Kamala Harris.
I believe in policy over politics.
Yeah.
And without question, Kamala Harris's policies are what I get behind. So I will be voting for Kamala Harris. And if I'm asked, I will campaign for her without hesitation.
Good.
So you tell me what's more relevant, her 23andMe or the fact you can't get a vote from your own flesh in BLOOD. In fact, he went further and said you were a full-blown racist. I actually did a whole video about it. So what we have is a party that has taken the word of a man whose own family won't vote for him and says that he is racist and running with it in order to deconstruct how his opponent identifies herself. I'm trying to figure out, you challenging her blackness. Are you black?
You know who embraced it more than anybody else? The black population. It's incredible. You see black people walking around with my mugshot. You know, they do shirts.
Oh, you know what? That's right. That's right. You got charges. That's right. That you got charges. That makes you more black than somebody with a Jamaican dad who went to a HBCU and pledged the Divine Nine. Uh-oh. Here come the troll. Laura Loomer, you can't even racism right. Look, if you're going to challenge her blackness, then you can't also use anti-black racism against her. Yeah, that doesn't work. Because you're saying she's Indian, but then you be using anti-black racism against, that doesn't make any sense. Hey, somebody fail her in racism. She can't racism right. She can't racism right.
As far as who's Kamala, most of us wouldn't have gone in there and gone, who is Kamala Harris? Is she Indian? Well, she's Jamaican too. Not something I would have done, but he went in there and he peeled back the curtain. And a lot of times, I think early in her career, she identified as South Asian. That might have been effective in California. Now she is considered an African-American woman. You don't hear about that. She's not African-American technically because she has a Jamaican dad. I don't really distinguish about that stuff. Maybe other people do distinguish about that stuff. Barack Obama was mixed race. He identified as black. Okay, a lot of people that I know who are mixed race, sometimes they identify differently depending on the situation. And that's great. That's fine.
Well, we know that's a whole lie. So let me get this straight. When you're determining in this country who can own land, who can vote, and not be human chattel for the Southern economic system, it's one drop. That's all that's needed. You just need one drop. But all of a sudden you run for president and it's what? It's up to your nastiest aunt on Facebook to decide exactly whether she's black or not.
Standing up in there in the mucky swamp. Diane always has them in the mucky swamp. Yeah.
That is convenient because when she applies for a job, she's black. When she applies for a loan, she's black. When she walks into a party, she's black. But when she runs for president, then we all get to decide. Oh, sorry, not we all, you all. And by the way, this goes for the black people online who are engaging in all of this. And by the way, I recognize not everybody with a black face on social media is actually a black person. Yeah, this right here is right-wing commentator Joey Manarino attacking Kamala Harris's blackness a literal week after he was caught online pretending to be a black woman. You can't make this stuff up. I guess he thought he was in his black woman account. He thought he could speak freely in his black woman account. Look, those people are definitely out there, but for those actual black people who are on Al Green's internet talking about, well, she ain't black. She ain't FBA. She ain't FBA. Who's your FBA candidate? I'm trying to figure out who your FBA, because we have so many black or black adjacent possibilities. I'm trying to figure out who your FBA candidate is since we're having this conversation. You act like it was just a litany of potential black choices. We always have a whole Crayola box of black possibilities when it comes to who could be president, and we were supposed to pick the brown and we picked the caramel. Yeah, we were supposed to pick the brown. We messed that up. Now next time we pick the brown. Now here's a question, MAGA. What does Kamala Harris being Indian get you? Like, exactly what is the there? What is the point of all of this? I can only guess that the idea is to try and create a wedge between Kamala Harris and the black constituency. However, in all but 2 elections in modern American history, or all of American history, there has never been a black candidate with an opportunity to actually win the presidency. So clearly, we're capable of voting for people that aren't black. So why even are we having this conversation? Now, at no point in this entire video have I actually defended Kamala Harris's blackness, because I'm not even going to dignify that. There's tons of receipts out there. You guys can look for that. I'm not dignifying their nonsense. Now, let me me just cede this to you for the sake of this conversation. Let's assume that Kamala Harris is Indian. Let's assume she's 100% Indian. She's got no black in her whatsoever. Here's a question. Does Kamala Harris being Indian mean that Donald Trump didn't call Colin Kaepernick and NFL players that were protesting back in 2017 SOBs?
Wouldn't you love to see one of these NFL owners, when somebody disrespects our flag, to say, get that son of a bitch off the field right now, out, he's fired. He's fired!
Does Kamala Harris being Indian mean that Trump in the summer of 2020 didn't repeat the Southern strategy dog whistle of law and order, playing to white fears of black crime? Does Kamala Harris being Indian mean that Donald Trump didn't call for the execution of the Central Park Five? And by the way, doubled down on that several times when he's had an opportunity to clean that up. Does Kamala Harris being Indian mean that he didn't claim in Charlottesville that they were very fine people on both sides? Does Kamala Harris being Indian mean that the U.S. Department of Justice didn't have to settle with him for violating the Fair Housing Act, where he was discriminating against renters of color? Does Kamala Harris being Indian mean that Donald Trump didn't have all of the black casino workers removed from the floor when he walked in, according to Kip Brown? Does Kamala Harris being Indian mean that Trump didn't say that black guys counting my money, I hate it, the only kind of people I want counting my money are short guys that wear yarmulkes every day? I think the guy is lazy, and it's probably not his fault because laziness is a trait in blacks. He later said in a 1997 Playboy interview that the stuff that was written about me is probably true. Does Kamala Harris being Indian mean that didn't happen? Does Kamala Harris being Indian mean that he didn't drop an N on a potential apprentice winner who happened to be a black man? Does Kamala Harris being Indian mean that he didn't resort to birtherism when Obama was running for president? Does Kamala Harris being Indian mean that Trump didn't in 2017 claim that people who came to the U.S. from Haiti all have AIDS, or in 2018 say, why are we having all these people come from S-hole countries? At the end of the day, it don't matter if Kamala is Indian as long as Trump is Trump.
Donald Trump blew it, and the happiest person in the country tonight is Kamala Harris. Because she's sitting there cackling. Look at this. Yeah, look at this. Look at Trump. He's just alienated millions of black voters who aren't going to really get what happened there.
Well, Caitlin, my first reaction was, this is the reaction of a desperate and scared old man. It was very obvious to me watching him and just what I've seen over the last week while she's been, across the country just kicking his butt, that he's afraid. He's probably afraid to debate her. He's certainly afraid to lose an election to her in November, and he's afraid about his own future. So I'm not surprised to see it. And I understand, what he's up against. I mean, he's up against an experienced prosecutor, somebody who served as a DA and an attorney general in the Senate, and now the vice president very successfully.
You damn right, Mark Kelly. And by the way, this really has tinges of something that we've heard before, something I've actually mentioned before back when Obama was running. So let me get this straight. We have two black people that have an opportunity to win the presidency, and the first time they claim that he's ineligible because of his birth certificate. He wasn't born in the country. And the second time they want to deconstruct her blackness. Yeah, this ain't nothing but birtherism 2.0. But the saddest part about it is, unlike birtherism, which would have disqualified him, not only does this not disqualify her, it's just stupid. So we have a level of desperation As much as we've seen this nonsense before, we have a level of desperation we've definitely never seen before. It's only getting crazier from here on out. Today's nominee, the Hawaii Department of Law Enforcement. Now, the Hawaii Department of Law Enforcement is currently embroiled in a serious investigation into allegations of racial harassment within its own ranks, targeting a black officer, Martin Horton. The situation has resulted in the arrest of 4 sheriff's deputies, with an additional 9 officers placed on administrative leave pending further inquiry. You realize how bad racism has to be for anybody to be arrested for it, but especially for police to be arrested for it. How bad does racism have to be where you start arresting police? They don't even arrest police for loss of life. That's how bad this racism has to be. I would have guessed that maybe this is going on in some foreign country where they take this kind of thing seriously. But last I checked, Hawaii's still in America, right? Yeah, we still claim them. Yeah, we still claim them. That is wild. Now, the accusations detail a pattern of discriminatory behavior directed at Horton, a 56-year-old black officer undergoing training. Incidents reportedly occurred during routine field exercises where Horton endured the racist abuse. So they just started early. They just started during training. I guess that was to get him ready for the street. Is that what it is? We got to make sure he ready for the racist abuse he gonna get on the streets of Hawaii. Y'all have no idea how bad Oahu and Maui can get after dark. And it also makes me wonder where the other black officers were. I guess maybe they had gone through the same training and it had been normalized. The arrests included Deputy Sheriff William Keahi, who faces charges of reckless endangering and harassment, as well as Sergeants Eric Mitamura and Alvin Turla, both charged with racial misconduct-related harassment. Deputy Sheriff William Gary also faced harassment charges in connection with the same incidents, and this also triggered a broader examination into the department's organizational culture and practices, with the Criminal Investigations Division spearheading efforts to uncover any systemic issues. Any systemic issues? These are the people that are enforcing the laws on the streets. If this is how they're treating one of their own, I'm guessing it's some systemic issues. And wait a minute, was there a whistleblower who came forward who caught wind of this and said this is definitely wrong? No, it wasn't. He had to do it himself. I'm guessing there are some systemic issues. And you know what? If I was black in Hawaii, I would challenge all my tickets right now. Yeah, I would challenge my tickets. I would challenge my record. I would challenge everything. Now, Horton has accused Turla, his supervisor, amongst other things, of making a sexual comment about his lips, not once, but at least twice. See, I told you they'd be at the strip club. See, I told you they'd be. I wasn't speaking out of my thong. I know from what I speak. Horton reported the disrespect to Sergeant Mitamura, whose response shocked him even more, saying his comment was, "You're nothing, you're no one." Now, Martin Horton, who bravely brought these issues to light, recounted enduring a series of degrading remarks and offensive treatment from colleagues ever since he started his tenure with the department. His complaints range from racial comments to instances where he was given orders that endangered his safety. Like, for instance, Keahi, who was assigned to the airport division, allegedly put Horton's life at risk by ordering the man to rush into traffic at Daniel K. Inouye International Airport to stop a moving vehicle while on foot, which, by the way, violated safety policies. So he ordered him to violate safety policies by rushing into traffic to stop a moving vehicle while on foot. By the way, no non-black trainees ever received any orders, anything like this. And you have to think about what's going through Horton's head when he gets an order that he knows endangers his safety, but he doesn't want to be insubordinate, but he has a sneaking suspicion this is probably having to do with race because they led with comments about fried chicken and about his lips. I forgot about the fried chicken thing, but that kind of goes without saying when they're making racial comments. Think about the math that you have to very quickly do in your head before thrusting yourself in a potentially life-threatening scenario. Now, despite the emotional toll and concerns about potential retaliation against him and his family, Horton remains resolute that speaking out was necessary to address the misconduct. And you know what? I absolutely commend him, because we have seen just how apprehensive officers have been about blowing the whistle on one another, even when circumstances affect them and their own safety. The department's swift response, including the arrest and placement of officers on leave, represents a significant step forwards towards addressing the broader issue of workplace harassment and discrimination, and I applaud them for that. However, challenges remain in ensuring a safe and inclusive environment for all officers, particularly those from marginalized backgrounds. And we see this at play with pilots, right? Where pilots was once an all-white bastion. It was once an all-white profession. And all of a sudden they opened it up because they wanted to diversify things. But all of a sudden the people who enter those ranks endure all kinds of abuse. They tell other people, you know what, it's really not an enjoyable experience. I appreciate being somebody that's achieved something, but there's many other ways that you can achieve things without having to endure this abuse. So it remains largely very white, including the idea that when we do have minorities that infiltrate those ranks, they have suspicion cast upon them about their qualifications. We have seen this with the explosion of allegations of DEI. Now, here's where we get good insight into our condition. Now, Horton, a disabled Navy veteran from Alabama, he's lived in Hawaii for 3 decades. Get this, he remains silent until the Criminal Investigations Division interviewed him about his experience so far at the Capitol. So this all came out because of an interview just about his experiences, which means he didn't think it was necessary to say anything because it had been so normalized, and they had no idea. If this is the kind of thing that you stumble on just because you happen to sit down and open up a conversation with an employee of color, how much more of this has been going on? Horton said he was actually surprised by the intensity of the department's response, which has put him at odds with fellow officers, with Horton's family living in fear of retaliation. Horton is currently being provided extra protection for he and his family. Now, once again, I would like to place you in his situation. So he endured all of this abuse. He's asked about his experiences, and he feels comfortable enough to be honest with them about his experiences and about the abuse that he endured that had been completely normalized, which nobody saw fit to blow the whistle on up until this point. Once he does that, they take swift action. Now he has to be concerned about the safety of himself and his family. And for what? For the crime of enduring the abuse and being honest about it. That is the experience that we have in 2024. He now has to be concerned about his family for being the victim of abuse. That is where we're at with our police departments across the country. Today's nominee, Arthur Grand Technologies. The Loudoun County, Virginia-based tech company has been fined $7,500 by the Department of Justice after it advertised it was seeking white candidates for an open job posting. The infamous white jobs. We heard about the black jobs and we heard about the Spanish jobs, the Latino jobs. Now we get the white jobs. I guess they're in the tech sector. And I would have guessed that. Well, they wouldn't have been my first guess. First, I'd have guessed up rounding up black people and brown people. That's definitely a white job. Taking people's rights and or land. That is definitely a white job. And of course, Hobby Lobby. But number 4, apparently, is working for Arthur Grand Technologies. Now, the company must also pay $35,000 in compensation to applicants as part of a settlement with the Department of Justice. Now, let's first take a look at the actual ad which became public. Let's take a look at this. Let's see. Looking for U.S.-born citizens, white, who are local within 60 miles from Dallas, Texas, and then we get a don't share with candidates. Okay, so it's apparent that these were supposed to be deleted. They just copied and pasted from the form letter, and I gotta ask, Where did this form come from? Is this from the Sons of Anarchy Employment Services? I need to know exactly where this was copied and pasted from. This is like the Patriot Front. Is this Proud Boys job recruiters? I need to understand. PatriotFrontMonster.com. I need to understand where this was copied and pasted from. And I can't imagine a worse case scenario of accidentally leaving in the sections that you were supposed to fill in. I would also like to point out what a liability it is that they included don't share with candidates. Just in case you were wondering exactly how dirty this was supposed to be, don't share it with the candidates. Oh yeah, no, we're gonna absolve ourselves of any deniability. Yeah, we can't deny that at all. It literally says don't share with candidates. DOJ's Civil Rights Division's Immigrant and Employee Rights Section opened an investigation in May of last year and determined that Arthur Grant discriminated based on citizenship status and national origin after a recruiter working for Arthur Grant's subsidiary in India posted the advertisement on the job website Indeed. This happened in India. Oh, so you outsourced your racism? Is that what you just did? You just outsourced your racism. So the person in India was the one that was supposed to not include that they were searching for white applicants only. I got to give a shout out to that whistleblower. I mean, because it's somebody out. That's what I think. I think it was a whistleblower. I think it was a whistleblower situation and not an honest mistake. Because somebody in India is like, wait a minute. You mean to tell me that the folks that have had their foot on everybody else's neck all around the world now want me to post a job posting excluding all of us? All right, I'll handle that. I know what we gonna do. I know what we gonna do. Now, as part of a Justice Department settlement, Arthur Grant will pay a civil penalty and will train its personnel on the INA's requirements, revise its employment policies, and be subject to departmental monitoring. Now, I applaud the departmental monitoring and revising their policies, but what training personnel needs? Huh? I don't know what training. Don't put white candidates on the job description. Like, what training is going to work? Now, Arthur Grant must also pay compensation to those who file complaints with the Office of Federal Contract Compliance Programs. So if any of y'all brothers and sisters out there looking for a check, go ahead and file a complaint. Now, here we have the Department of Justice cracking down on a white-only job description while the specter of Project 2025 hangs over us, where they will be looking to prosecute anybody who's actively trying to diversify their workforce. So let me get this straight. People that are trying to work to correct folks like this are the ones that are going to be prosecuted under the new administration should Trump win. Keep your eyes open. Now, even when this discrimination isn't overt, we still have cases like that of Dwight Jackson, the 27-year-old Michigan man who, after applying for various positions at Detroit's upscale Shinola Hotel, was rejected. Now, despite an impressive resume spanning multiple hotels, he expected a positive response, particularly for a front desk agent role. However, despite submitting his resume multiple times, he received no callbacks. Now, that does happen. I have not received callbacks multiple times. I remember applying to a couple of jobs. I mean, I was entry level, but I was applying for CEO. Like, I literally submitted a CEO resume to Monster.com. Like, I could run this thing. It doesn't have to be racist. Huh? What's that? Keep reading? Oh, okay. Frustrated, Jackson decided to experiment by adjusting the dates of his previous job experiences, and he changed his name on his resume to a more Caucasian sounding one, John Jabrowski. He was then offered multiple interviews within the same week. You know what? I can't. Our second nominee for Racist of the Week. Detroit's Shinola Hotel. I can't help you, Shinola. I mean, that's just cut and dry. That's as bad as leaving in whites only, don't tell job applicants. Like, it's that bad. There's a reason why you guys are here together. And shout out to Dwight Jackson for a solid Caucasian sounding name. John Jabrowski is pretty good. I think I would have gone with Connor Tanner, or my old standby, Ryan Seacrest. Now, he actually went to the interview. He showed up to the interview, the John Jabrowski interview, which is hilarious in and of itself. I need to see the footage of Dwight Jackson showing up to the John Jabrowski interview. Did he show up like Eddie Murphy in White Like Me? Huh? Or was it more of a true identity situation? Or perhaps even the weigh-ins in White Chicks? I need to know which one he decided to go with. During the interview, according to attorney Jonathan Marco, who's representing Jackson, he disclosed his true identity and confronted the interviewer about the racism. And I'm sure that made for a phenomenal interview. Can you tell me what your biggest weaknesses are? I can tell you what your biggest weaknesses are. Black people. After completing the interview process, the lawsuit states, Jackson was promptly informed he was no longer under consideration for the position. I wonder, what was the reasoning that they gave? I need to know the reason that he put on too much of the white makeup, like before he showed up. What was the reasoning they gave that he was no longer considered for the position? Now, in response to these allegations, the hotel's operating partner conveyed a commitment to inclusivity and a zero tolerance policy against discrimination in an email to CNN, saying, we take this allegation very seriously and do not tolerate discrimination of any kind. We are committed to fostering an inclusive workplace where everyone has the opportunity to succeed and are dedicated to building a diverse workforce that reflects the community. That is, everyone except for the Dwight Jacksons of the world. I wonder what they mean by diversity. Like, they have a lot of women that work there? Maybe there's a lot of women that work there. And this is the difference between a public message and private practice. We have seen your private practice, so I don't want to hear about your public message. In fact, a recent study published by the National Bureau of Economic Research found that name bias is a prevalent issue in the hiring process around the country. Researchers sent out identical resumes to 108 U.S. employers to analyze whether race and gender affected callback rates for job applications. Just guess who received the fewest callbacks. Go ahead. Let's all say it together. Black men and women. There we have it. Yes, black male and black female names received the fewest callbacks. So congratulations to Arthur Grand Technologies, Shinola Hotel, and America, because clearly this is an American phenomenon. And if things go the wrong way in November, it's going to get a whole hell of a lot worse. Today's nominee, these cornballs in Nashville. Now, it would have been bad enough that these rejects are making Nashville their regular hang like they play for the Tennessee Titans. That's right, they keep coming back. Now, I was too busy, with political racism to actually hit it here, although come to think of it, I already did a video about these dudes.
We are literally having a Nazi march here in downtown Nashville. White supremacists talking about white supremacist neo-Nazism, talking about deporting folks and just racial hatred. This is what we're seeing here in Nashville.
Where's your faces? Where's your criminal faces? Cowards! Cowards! All of you! Cowards! Oh, I saw his face! I saw his face!
And you'll never guess what they showed up in again. The police reported that the group left the area after the confrontation, having arrived earlier in a U-Haul truck. They came in a U-Haul truck? So So was they just in the back? Like, how does that? They came in a U-Haul. They all just came in a U. I'm so confused. I'm so confused by that. This tactic mirrored a similar incident 2 years ago when the Patriot Front attempted to disrupt an LGBT event in a U-Haul truck. Wow, I didn't know U-Haul. So they really are trying to adopt and claim U-Haul as their own. Like they are really trying to make U-Haul problematic. U-Haul sitting over there like, what y'all mad at me for? I got nothing to do with Blood Tribe. I do have one question though, U-Haul, because if they rented a car to come down there and have done it now multiple times, don't they have to reveal their identity? Don't you got a driver's license down there somewhere? And where were all the rest of the guys since they all came down in the back of the U-Haul? Were the rest of the guys just standing in the back with them scars over their faces? You didn't know that something might be amiss? But not satisfied with annoying all of Nashville, and shout out to Music City for telling them how you feel, they decided to target a specific group. And who do you think these big bad white supremacists would choose to terrorize? Young black boys, of course, young black boys. Now, this incident was caught on camera in July and showed a group of young black adolescents who play music in the city being abused by a group of men belonging to something called the Goyim Defense League. Now, I'm just gonna stop us right here. I know it's early in the video. I couldn't help but notice his issue was that they were, quote, just walking around as ends. Wow. I mean, generally they will couch their racism a little bit better than that, but apparently the problem is us walking around as ends. Well, we know we surely can't run around as ends because that would be suspicious, but we can't walk around as ends either. I also love the thing that he immediately followed that with where are your parents? That is a great question. Where's your parents? Where are your parents? Huh? Because I would love to know how they feel about having raised a grown man who gets in a U-Haul with a bunch of other grown men to go out of town and threaten adolescents. Like, I would love to know how they feel about their grand accomplishment. Just think about all the sacrifice, because I'm a parent. Just think about all the sacrifice that it takes to raise a young child up, and years of waking up early and going to bed late and taking them to soccer practice and helping them with their homework, only to find out one day he is in the back of a U-Haul with a white supremacist jacket on, surrounded by other failed members of society. Like, that's grim.
Where's your parents?
I find it extremely ironic that the one kid who gets the most upset is laughed at, and then you see this shirt cross into frame called Whites Against Replacement. Considering that you needed a whole gang of grown men in order to feel comfortable approaching youths in Nashville, I see why that replacement would be possible. I do. That's actually technically called an upgrade. That is when society has evolved beyond the need for you. It's exactly what you did with your Nokia.
Hey, are we allowed to let these little make threats? The Neglets are making threats. Can you arrest them? Please arrest them.
They have to.
Hey, stop making threats.
They have to accompany the through town. Everybody.
Future engineers had to get escorted because they're so violent. Yeah. You got a light brain, bud.
God, I love little fucking monkeys like that.
Ours.
It just shows how fucking violent they are at a young age.
Okay, so apparently they are the violent ones while minding their business while you're out of town in a Whites Against Replacement t-shirt and a backpack standing in the media. Yeah, you didn't use your context clues on that one.
You got a light brain, bud.
God, I love little fucking monkeys
lighter
like
than
that.
ours.
It just shows how fucking violent they are at a young age.
Your frontal lobe is 2 ounces lighter, bud.
Now here's a question. So you are making an argument that you are genetically superior. Why aren't you at work? I'm just curious. Why aren't you at work? They have found something constructive to do with their inferior frontal lobes. They have found something constructive for young kids to do. Why is there nobody looking for you with your superior intellect?
Do you need some money?
How is it that you have time to go out of town midweek with the whole softball team and accost strangers?
Turn this on. Turn it on!
Now, according to News 5 in Nashville, the kids had been on their way home from playing drums downtown when all of this occurred. Now, I actually did a Racist of the Week not too long ago about some young girls who spoke at a Denver City Council meeting who were abused as well.
If you need space, go back to Africa. Nobody wants you here. All you do was burn down and ruin stuff. You little. You unmuted me again, you dumb boomer. Go ahead, protect the protect.
Oh, producer, can we remove them?
I will make the same point here that I made there. You are giving us the evidence of the thing that you love to deny. You love to deny that this kind of racism exists, but yet you will stand there in 4K and racially abuse young adolescents for walking around wild ends. Thank you for coming.
Hey, y'all not outraged. And there's only so many times we're going to come up here and talk and ask for y'all to help us.
Detonio Wilson, who was just 10, was one of the 5 kids who was assaulted. He told the outlet,
Playing drums is a passion for these young drummers. For 3 years now, they have shared their love of music on Broadway. But Saturday, July 13th, they were met with hate.
They were just saying bad words to us, and the police didn't do nothing. They were just telling us to go home, and they didn't do nothing. They should have did something. They should have arrested them, because that's wrong, because we didn't do nothing to them. We was about to go home on our way home. We went around them. They called us bad words, and we didn't say nothing to them.
and that is an interesting observation because the police seemed extremely casual about the fact that you have a group of grown men threatening minors. Extremely casual about that. How is it that when police get all jacked up and they overreact to a threat, it's always against a black person? It's never to protect a black person. I would love to see a police officer go above and, oh, did I do too much? Did I go too far? Was that unjustified? To actually protect a black person. That might have been a good change of pace. Now, there is video all over, but this one was particularly infuriating.
Fucking losers! Fucking losers! Stay mad, you. Hey. You said keep driving the wrong way.
You know Raising Cane's is furious. You know Raising Cane's is furious. Like, y'all got me all up in the frame. Y'all got me all up in the video like I'm Diddy back in the 90s. And I did absolutely nothing to associate myself with you. Not to mention, your stereotype is that they love to come in and eat chicken. Is that why you decide to stay here? So you decide to hurt my chicken business by chasing away my best customers? They really went back in front of another chicken place. I tell you this, y'all better stay away from Target. Now, I was curious what the local reaction was, and journalist and local legend Phil Williams gave me everything I wanted.
You've seen them all across the city. Now we're showing you the hypocrisy and the ignorance behind the neo-Nazis who've stirred up controversy this week here in Middle Tennessee.
And one of the things that I wanted to know is what a lot of you have been asking, why Nashville? But I also wanted to look hate in the eyes and show just how ignorant they really are. For days, out-of-state neo-Nazis have made a scene on the streets of Nashville with their symbols of hate and vile words. Here, berating a lesbian mom who had just left a downtown restaurant, reducing her young daughter to tears. Here, assaulting a bartender who had confronted the group. And here, bringing their venom to the West End Synagogue.
How much do you think the Jews are paying this guy? Let's throw out some numbers.
Thursday, they returned to the historic Metro Courthouse, repeatedly challenging officers just doing their jobs. There on what is now the Diane Nash Plaza, named after the civil rights legend who came here to confront a Nashville mayor and a community's racism, we decided to confront the hate that has once again reared its ugly head.
You ready to debunk the flyers? I told you I'd stop being a Nazi. What's your thoughts about you lying in the media?
Yeah, I'm curious. Why Nashville? Why did you guys choose Nashville?
The only place that respects freedom of speech.
Yeah, this state actually respects freedom of speech, but communist Jews like yourself don't.
John Minadeo, a Californian who moved to Florida, leads the Goyim Defense League, which goes around the country trying to create scenes that they hope will bring them attention and followers. In fact, this tactic, resorting to yelling as a diversion, would play out again and again as we attempted to confront the group with facts about the lies they tell their followers.
So you have a problem with Jews in general, though?
Yes, I do.
So you think the COVID agenda
Debunk
is Jewish?
It. Let's go.
In fact, the men who led the nation's COVID response, Drs. Francis Collins and Anthony Fauci, are both Catholic.
Dr. Fauci was Catholic. Dr. Fauci wasn't Jewish.
I didn't say he was.
You say the COVID agenda is Jewish. Dr. Fauci was Catholic.
No. Go through the names.
Minadeo, it seems, doesn't like any facts that don't fit his narrative. For example, this claim that, quote, every single aspect of the Biden administration is Jewish.
The vice president is Baptist.
Okay,
the secretary,
80% Jewish.
You said every aspect.
I said 80%.
Okay, well,
that's
how about
a 2% minority.
Well, the Secretary of Defense is Catholic.
2% minority.
Secretary of Interior is Catholic. Secretary of
2% minority. 80%. 2% minority.
Secretary of Commerce is Catholic. Secretary of Health is Catholic.
80%.
Secretary of Transportation is Episcopalian. Secretary of Energy is Catholic.
Let's go.
Secretary of Education is Catholic. Secretary of Veterans Affairs is Catholic.
Over and over, it became clear that these are people who are blind to any facts that don't confirm their hate.
How many of you guys have criminal records?
What's your criminal record? Catching kids?
Not surprisingly, there are quite a few arrests among these characters. Minadeo spent a month in jail last year after authorities in Florida got fed up with the group littering their neighborhoods with its hate messages. Others, we discovered, also have a variety of criminal charges on their records.
Can I be honest with you guys?
You're a loser, scumbag.
When I look at you guys, I do not think
because you look like race or you
time is coming to its end.
In fact, what I saw was a group of wounded, angry men who've never accomplished much in their own lives, looking for someone else to blame.
Worse than the Jews.
I really feel sorry for you guys.
I don't give a sorry for. You're gonna grave soon, you dumb sellout boomer.
You boomer.
Honestly, I think my overriding feeling was sadness. These are really pathetic human beings, and they just don't seem to recognize it. Frankly, I think that's how most of Nashville and Middle Tennessee views them as well.
Yeah, just so angry at the world.
And sad.
And shout out to Phil Williams for being a very solid ally. By the way, while I was editing the Races of the Week compilation for last month, I saw that there was one of those that I ended with a positive story, and you guys really reacted quite well to that. I had forgotten about it because it was a couple weeks old and the earth shifted with everything political. So I decided I'm going to end this one on a positive story here. Here is a piece of Tennessee State Representative Justin Pearson's address at the National Urban League Convention. And shout out to my man Mark for sending it to me via email.
This here is just what America looked like
black, beautiful, educated, and all the rest. So I'm gonna go ahead on and be at home because we here. And every rally that we do, we start one particular way in District 86. I say, who fired up? And the crowd respond, we fired up. You ready? Who fired up? Who fired up? Who fired up? Yeah, we fired up. We fired up because we've got to be fired up for such a time as this. We've got to be fired up to fight for diversity, equity, and inclusion and DEI candidates. We've got to be fired up because of Project 2025, white supremacy and racism continuing to be on the prowl. We've got to be fired up against domestic terrorism and capitalistic exploitation. Y'all, we've got to be fired up. It's time to be fired up when they're trying to silence our voices, refusing to acknowledge the beauty of our brilliance. You even got racist Ron and governors talking about black history has no value. We've got to be fired up. Fired up because we need to make real the words written into the founding documents of this nation. We hold these truths to be self-evident, that all people are created equal and endowed by their Creator with certain unalienable rights, and that among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. We've got to be fired up. And this is our moment. This is our time. This is our opportunity to be fired up for the movement for justice rooted in love.
Let's go to Virginia City, Nevada. Quick question. Why is there a Dennis Rodman jersey on my couch? 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. If you heard Nevada and one of the first things that crossed your mind was Dennis Rodman leaving to go to Vegas in the middle of the finals, congratulations, we basically grew up together. And I think that mutual experience probably ruined relationships for us. Today's nominee, Gary Miller, Janice Miller, and Tiffany Miller. It's a family affair. It's a family affair. A video posted to TikTok went viral over last weekend showing a group of people harassing a black man after a white man apparently made racist comments to him in Virginia City, Nevada during the opening day of a vintage car show. I guess he wanted to act in line with the times. Yeah, I got this 54 Mustang. So that leaves me free to drop ends. No, boy, you can't come in here. Yeah, it's 1954 in this car. The video was filmed by Ricky Johnson, who goes by Uncle Ricky on TikTok, who was in Virginia City on Friday asking people to sign a petition to get an issue on the November ballot. He approached a white man who verbally harassed Johnson with racist comments and said there was a, quote, hanging tree in the backyard for people who looked like him.
Keep talking. And where the tree at to hang people at? Where is that? Where is the hanging tree at?
In your backyard.
I'm doing a job and I did not disrespect you, not once.
Oh, man. Come on. Get out of here. Get the fuck out of here.
You, man, you know what? Fuck you and I'm not leaving. Make me leave, motherfucker, because I can't take...
I don't make trash. I burn it.
I thought you said you had a job.
I got a job.
Well, go do it.
Man, fuck you. You do it.
Oh, hey.
Just go do your job.
You do your job.
Okay, first of all, I definitely need to address the lack of any kind of response by all of the people there. Forget that 3 people were arrested. A lot more people need to be identified because clearly this kind of thing has been normalized to the point where somebody will come up to him and tell you, don't you have a job? Why don't you go do it? Okay, so you won't do your job as a decent human being and call out and stamp out racism. That's too much to ask, but I'm just supposed to move along.
Say fuck you to everybody.
He said fuck me because I can say fuck you too. What the fuck you mean? He's being fucking racist to me, man. Get the fuck out of my face. Get the fuck out of my face. Who the fuck are you?
Jesus Christ.
I don't give a fuck. Fuck you too. The fuck?
That's the only license.
How you doing?
He seems to know.
Are you along with them?
Yes, he is.
Okay, but why is he being fucking racist to me, talking about there's a fucking hanging tree down there? Are you along with that? Are you down with that as well, like him?
He's my dad. First off,
Ma'am, don't fucking touch me. Don't touch me. I'm not on your property. Don't touch me. Don't fucking touch me. Don't fucking touch me. Do y'all see this shit?
I'm not saying nothing. I'm telling you to get off my property.
Fuck you. Now what? Let's do it. Come on, let's go. Slap me, hit me. I want you to. I want you to hit me.
I love you. You're my brother.
No, I'm not your brother. Don't touch me.
She is such a beautiful MAGA, because what we see right here is a perfect example of the kind of Christian nationalism that the Heritage Foundation is trying to ingrain in our nation. The kind of Christianity that would tell you, I love you, you're my brother, while I try and escort you out and make it your fault that he dropped slurs. That kind of Christianity. In other words, gaslighting.
This is fucking racist to the most. You're wrong. You're wrong. You get out of my face.
Do you know where you are? Do you know the history of the town?
I don't give a fuck. I'm not doing anything to anybody. Y'all gonna kill me?
And here comes the next generation telling us about the history of this town. Oh, okay. I didn't realize because it had once been racist, it gets to continue to be racist. Is that what it is? Like their racism was grandfathered in? Okay, if we're going by the history of the town definitely predates white people. So what y'all doing?
Tell me, do it.
You're my brother.
Do y'all see? Don't touch me.
I love you, baby.
Are y'all gonna allow this shit to happen, this racist stuff?
Come on, calm
No,
down.
don't touch me. Don't touch me.
Baby, why are you so upset?
Don't touch me.
you so upset?
Why are you touching me, ma'am?
Okay, come on.
This is crazy.
Calm down. You're causing a big old fuss.
Because I didn't do anything to anyone.
Honey, I know, honey. Jesus loves you. It's okay.
Do y'all see this at the most?
Jesus loves him. He just don't get it right now. Calm down.
Can you let me go if I can leave, please, ma'am? But but you're steady touching me.
Honey, I love you, baby.
You're steady touching me, ma'am. This is assault.
Do you have a mama?
This is an assault.
Do you have a mama? Do you have a mama?
Ma'am, can you leave
me? What are you doing here?
I'm doing a job.
Well,
and I'm not bothering anyone.
Well, you are now. You got everybody all upset.
But you're touching me. Don't touch me, ma'am.
I can't with the level of gaslighting. I just, do you have a mama? Do you have a daddy? Yeah, who would also be pretty upset at somebody calling me trash and referencing a hanging tree. Do you have a husband? Because you might want to find him and go checking. Oh, wait, I'm sorry. I guess that's too much to ask for a Christian.
You're touching me. I have to call the police. That's assault.
I'm taking you. He's right here. Let's go.
Don't touch me. You don't touch me.
I'm not, baby.
Can you leave me alone? Y'all gonna allow this shit to happen like nobody cares? Nobody see this racial shit going on?
Honey, the sheriff's right here. You can tell him all you want.
Your dad just said there's a hanging tree for like me. What does that mean? What does that mean? And I did not disrespect your dad. I asked him nicely, excuse me, sir, are you a registered voter? He said no. I said thank you. And then he turned around and said there's a hanging tree down the road for like me. That's exactly what the fuck he said. And all of them ganged up on me. I have it on video.
I'm so sorry that happened to you.
And everybody is going along with that shit.
Are you okay?
No.
What do you need right now?
Look, I can show you the video.
It's okay.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry.
And all of them just ganged up on me.
It's okay. You're all right. You're all right.
Now, the overt racism is one thing. Unfortunately, we cannot stamp out knucklehead from our society, or we would not be faced with this election with these two choices. There's going to be knuckleheads in our society. It is the reaction to it. You want to hit him first, or should I? You got it? Okay. All right, you got it.
People are canceling Firehouse Saloon in Virginia City, Nevada for being racist towards a man.
What happened?
Basically, an African-American male was doing his job. Then a random man started making racist remarks talking about hanging him from a tree.
Horrible.
Oh, and guess what? Other people nearby started jumping in and being racist towards him. This was all on video, but the business said they had no idea this was happening.
I mean, if it was happening right in front of their business, I think it's clear as day they knew the people in front and did allow this type of behavior all the time.
No! Why would a business be responsible for them? How would they know?
Because why did no one around try to stop them? Why was everybody joining in? And
are you implying that the reason the people were so comfortable being racist is because that entire area is like that? What if they really didn't know?
There was actually a Facebook post that the owner of that place
was a good guy.
Threw a party for those two people that were being racist to that guy in the video.
Okay, but he didn't actually say anything himself. Even though he clearly allowed the behavior to happen. He posted to Facebook he doesn't allow that type of behavior.
Okay, but I think it's even sadder that one of the guys had a MAGA hat on. Good. And then when his wife came out, or whoever the girl was throwing this Christian rhetoric at him, gaslighting, being racist to him, and assaulting him.
Now, Firehouse Saloon, where this all took place, tried to distance themselves from the event, after it went viral. It didn't work. Not where your employees are seen wearing nooses to work, and there's ample documentation that you, in fact, know these people well.
We have an update on the racists in Virginia City, Nevada, and I've got a bunch of updates for this. First of all, Virginia City itself responded and said they do not tolerate any form of racism. The sheriff's department of that county responded and we also are against racism, and we are opening an investigation into the Millers that I identified. The only issue I have with that is that in the video, the Millers seem to be, pretty familiar with the sheriff's department. In fact, I think they were on site and present while this was happening and didn't do anything. Furthermore, I was looking into the history of the sheriff's department, and their previous sheriff, his last name was Miller. I don't know if there's a relation, but he was sued for calling his previous employee an N-word lover just because he was a fan of Barack Obama.
I just got to stop us right here and think about the thought process that would accuse somebody of being an N-lover because they support the man who won the national popular vote twice. That's a lot of N-lovers. In fact, let me tell you, once we are the majority, okay, once N-lovers are the majority, then that becomes normal. Then they just become the normal people, and you become an N-hater. Yeah, you become an N-hater. This is the default setting is the N-lover at this point in time. I dream that one day I'm gonna do a Racist of the Week where when the authorities come in and do the right thing, we won't also have to accept them being racist as well.
Also, Firehouse Saloon spoke up and said, we have no relation to these people. They do not work for us. We don't know them. They just wear our clothes and hang out in front of a shop. Got no idea who they are whatsoever. In fact, they even referred to one of them as Lady in the Shirt. Except that they do know them. They know them very well. They know them extremely well. In fact, they even go as far as calling him a very close friend. They're the ones who introduced them to their community in Virginia City. What do you mean you don't know them? They're your landlords. Let's talk a little more about Firehouse Saloon and how desperate they are to save their image. Because I don't think they're trying hard enough. Have you seen your own bartender? It's a different man named Gary. But check out his pin. You guys just let him wear that at work? That's totally cool. Yeah, so when you say you allow all people into your establishment, you mean all people. People wearing hoods, anyone. I know this whole situation has us heated, so here are a couple funny things we can laugh at about the Millers. First of all, someone changed Wikipedia and wrote this under the description of Virginia City, Nevada. And number two, this is my favorite. Janice Miller, Gary's wife, who is, shooing the man away and saying horrible things like Jesus loves you and being patronizing and stuff. In a desperate attempt to delete her Facebook account because she's getting a barrage of comments right now, she instead made her profile picture the directions on how to delete your Facebook picture. And this is real. It's up right now. And by the way, this is not a screenshot. I misspoke. This is not a screenshot of the instructions. This is somebody who took a picture of another computer screen. You can see in the quality of the photo. It's not a screenshot. She took a picture of the instructions and made that her profile photo. And went about her day going, oh, good thing I deleted that Facebook earlier today.
And the former owners of the Firehouse Saloon put out a statement, and they didn't get their back at all. But there were some comments on social media disputing that this isn't just a normal occurrence in Virginia City, Nevada. But as always happens, they were indeed identified. Now, this whole encounter occurred on opening night of Hot August Nights, an annual vintage car show that takes place in the Reno-Sparks metropolitan area. Social media identified the white man in the video as Gary Miller. His identity was confirmed by multiple local news outlets, including the Reno Gazette-Journal, who reported that Miller and other individuals who harassed Johnson have been permanently banned from Hot August Nights. That is right. You want to act like 1954, you do it at home, where it's clearly still 1954. We're not taking your vintage cars. But wait, there's more. Gary Miller faces a charge of violation of breach of peace. Janice Miller faces a charge of battery. And Tiffany Miller faces a charge of obstructing and delaying a peace officer, according to Story County Sheriff's Office. The office obtained warrants for Gary, Janice, and Tiffany following the incident, and they were later arrested and booked into the Story County Detention Center. Can we charge all the passersby with just being Bamas? Can we do that? Is Bama in charge? It should be. I tell you, it should be. The sheriff's office said it's continuing to look at all the information that was presented and all the information preceding the initial video recording and actions of all parties and witnesses leading to the altercation. Nevada Governor Joe Lombardo took to alt-right Twitter, saying, "I'm concerned and disappointed by this incident in Virginia City this weekend. Racism and hate have no place in Nevada. This behavior must be condemned in the strongest terms possible. We take pride in our rich, diverse history and will always be a place where all are welcome." Well, I don't know about all. I definitely don't know about all. And I'm like, why were they so upset? You know what I think it was? I think it was the 1 year anniversary of Montgomery Brawl. That's what it is. It was the 1 year anniversary of Montgomery Brawl. They went on Instagram and they saw all the chair memes, and all of a sudden they decided to take it out on the one black person they saw, because I didn't see nobody else in the video. There was nobody else in the video. Shout out to him for capturing that and generally keeping his composure, because I can't imagine how helpless he might have felt when he realized there were not only no other black people, but also no human beings available. Woo, woo, woo. I feel like I needed a tea. I feel like I needed a tea. My blood pressure was up. I was about to tear up my living room. I am back now and ready to drag some more people. Do you think the rest of the month could top that? Well, one thing we know is themes are themes for a reason. By the way, if you have somebody that you would like to nominate for Racist of the Week, you can always email me at reese@reesewaters.com. Again, that's reese@reesewaters.com. I also have a newsletter that I send out periodically as well. You can sign up on my website or just send me an email. And by the way, highlighted in our very next newsletter, yeah, there you have it, Racist of the Week merch. By the way, just in time for the holidays, you could send to that uncle that you can't stand. All right, let's get on with the compilation. Today's nominee, South Carolina Congresswoman Nancy Mace. Now, I've been wanting to get at Nancy Mace for a while.
And Maria, I've said this many times on your program. I represent a very purple district. 40% or more of my voters are independent. They're not affiliated with Republicans or Democrats. I'm going to rebrand Tim Walz as Tampon Tim, because you cannot say Hunter without saying Biden.
But it kept getting put off for more relevant congressional members. You know, it's kind of like the same reason why you haven't responded to all those messages in your spam folder. But as a noted philosopher once say, today I got time, cuz.
Today I got time, cuz.
She joined a CNN panel including Michael Eric Dyson and Keith Boykin, both of whom I thoroughly enjoy, and boy, were I glad they were there. Let's start hot.
Kamala's
you had it right. You almost got it.
I will say Kamala's name any way that I want to.
No,
but
you mispronounced her and you also misjudged her.
I just did, and I'll do it again.
Mispronouncing her name. That's a refusal to acknowledge her humanity.
If I purposely mispronounced your name, that would not be appropriate.
Policies.
Now, this little tidbit was prefaced by a bunch of discussions about sexism, so that had already been laid on the table. And here we have her very intentionally mispronouncing Kamala Harris's name. Now, I actually talked about this on my live a few weeks ago about the fact that there is not a a vice president or a presumptive nominee that I can think of that we ever regularly referred to by their first name. I used to like to say Mitt a lot, because when do you ever get a chance to say Mitt? But here we have her actually saying it right and correcting herself and saying it wrong.
And Kamala's
you had it right. You almost got it.
I will say Kamala's name any way that I want to.
And following that up with, I can pronounce her name however I choose to pronounce her name. Now, seeing as how we have taken sexism off the table, why would that be? Why would that be? You know, you being an advocate for women and all, why would you feel that you can just disparage her by mispronouncing her name intentionally? And I'm not going to get all gassed up about it, because if a bird flies and chirps, why would you be shocked? I am curious how your in-state legislator Tim Scott, who asserted that racism was in fact over and it was the reinvention of the Southern heart, was that it?
I think it's exciting, no matter the outcome. It's the evolution of the Southern heart that we see on display. And we Southerners get so little credit for the progress we've made. The whole notion of judging a person on the content of their character, not the color of their skin, has happened. It's not going to happen. It's not around the corner. It's in the rearview mirror. We are living Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream.
Well, this new Southern heart is making a very clumsy, intentional point to mispronounce Kamala Harris's name. So, Tim, I don't know if you're still out on the imaginary honeymoon, but you might want to come back and weigh in on this.
A woman talking about women in the way he does. I'm asking you directly, when you see him direct such venomous rhetoric against this woman, not principled disagreement, do you find that problematic? And if you don't, you've helped normalize a practice that is vicious and misogynistic. Look, regardless, women can be misogynistic.
Let me let Carlos. I am a woman who has broken a lot of glass ceilings, and I have fought my way to have a seat at the table, and I wouldn't back someone that I thought was a misogynist, and I fully backed Donald Trump in 2020.
All right, I want to play.
So her answer to that is, I don't think he's a misogynist. That's your defense? That is your defense? If you were following that conversation, Michael Eric Dyson said women can be misogynist too, to which she responds, I have fought my way through a lot of glass ceilings for a seat at the table, and no, I ain't gonna say nothing. I mean, he literally telegraphed your play.
Michael.
That sounds like self-hatred and justification of white supremacy. And let me just say this. Because this Congresswoman is a wonderful human being.
She's a wonderful human being, has all the validity of you picked the right one. Or if you like it, I love it.
But when you disrespect Kamala Harris by saying you will call her whatever you want, I know you don't intend it to be that way.
Now, Michael, I'm gonna stop you right there. She absolutely intends it to be that way. She 1,000% intends it to be that way. There's no way she didn't intend it to be that way.
That sounds like self-hatred and justification of white supremacy. And let me just say this, because this Congresswoman is a wonderful human being, but when you disrespect Kamala Harris by saying you will call her whatever you want, I know you don't intend it to be that way. That's the history and legacy of white disregard for the humanity of black people.
Oh, so now you're calling me racist.
I didn't say, I just said you weren't a racist.
That is complete
No, you don't have to intend racism to accomplish
you are intending.
She intended it and accomplished it. And it's rare that you actually get a chance to get full video in 4K with sound and everything of somebody both throwing the rock and hiding their hand. We saw you intentionally correct yourself to mispronounce her name, and now, when accused of racism, because what other reason would there be for that? We've taken sexism off the table because you fought your way through all those glass ceilings. Remember? So now that we have taken that off the table, now when accused of racism, oh, so now I'm racist. Oh, you think the louder that you say, so now I'm racist, makes you not racist? Is that what you think? If only I would have known that when I was a kid. Did you steal money out my purse? Oh, so now I stole money out your purse.
I just said you weren't a
BS.
racist.
That is complete
You don't have
BS.
to intend racism to
No,
accomplish
you are
it.
intending that I
Your
am
disrespect
racist,
of Kamala
and
Harris
that
is part and parcel of a
why
tradition of disrespect.
Why can't you just,
Congresswoman, why can't you just...
I'm not calling you a racist. I'm telling you what the practice is racist.
You are. You absolutely are.
Let me get no, what's disgusting is your disrespect of her.
Professor,
this gentleman said, I didn't know her name. He's trying to do it.
Is her disrespect of women. She doesn't know what a woman is. And if 25 years ago,
white women don't have the ability to tell black women who paid the price of blood to make this country what it is, to tell them they're not real women.
25
they
years
care
ago,
for your babies
25 years ago, I became
humanity.
the first woman to graduate from the Citadel, the Military College of South Carolina. I fought my way through it.
So pronounce her name right.
Let me actually
pronounce her name right.
Kamala Harris. If I were a man,
you said
I will
say
Nancy
that
I want.
It's Kamala. You're doing this on purpose, Congresswoman.
That's disrespectful.
You can't expect people to respect your service if you don't respect
and walked
hers.
that stage 25 years ago, she would have said it. She would have taken that achievement away from women.
But because you have fought tooth and nail through the Citadel and broken all those glass ceilings, you feel free to disparage other women. However, where are all these other women that you disparage? I'll wait. It's Kamala Harris. Oh, Kamala Harris, who you feel comfortable disparaging. That's curious.
I certainly take that, but I'm wondering.
And a lot of rich history comes out of my district in South Carolina that I'm deeply proud of.
With respect.
Trump injecting Vice President Harris's race and then suggesting that she's not actually black. Why is he doing that? Should he stop?
Well, I mean,
yes or no?
I didn't hear him say it. I didn't hear what he said about her race. I am not going to weigh in on her race. As a woman,
He did say it.
Okay, well, as a woman, I want to weigh in.
She turned black, he said. He said she was raised Indian. She was Indian, all he knew. Now she turned black.
She's of mixed race. She's of mixed race.
He said that to the National Association of Black Journalists.
Right.
He went to, and he said at the same event where he said he'd done more for black people than any president in history.
I guess here's the thing.
When he was president, wages for women were better than they've been in a long time. Wages for blacks were better than they've been in a long time.
The lowest black unemployment rate in history. It happened
a
under
lot
Joe
of
Biden.
He did a lot of good.
Let me just finish this to both
people
of you.
from all walks of the
This
country.
doesn't take that much courage, honestly, to just say that was out of bounds.
Well, I'm gonna stop you right there, Abby. It actually does take a lot of courage, because they're not gonna let her back into the compound, and she probably not gonna be able to eat for weeks if she speaks against the leader. So, you know.
I don't know what he said. I didn't see.
He said that she turned black. He questioned whether she was really black. I don't think that's that hard to say. That's out of bounds. Can you say that?
I mean, I didn't say it, and I would not say it.
Just say yes.
I just said
we are connected to your inability to pronounce her name.
We are out of time.
It's a very.
We are out of time.
It's a cult. They won't say anything that goes against the cult. Yes, you are. You are.
Well, Nancy, you can't have it both ways. I just defended you for not having the courage to speak out about something that was clearly wrong because you're in a cult. Like, you can't. You got to pick one.
I just think this whole conversation is hilarious because Project 2025, first of all, it is the Republican Party. It represents.
It is not true. That is not true. Absolutely not.
You're going to tell me what my party believes?
Let me just say this. It was created by Republican Party operatives, including former Trump administration officials. And what's so funny about this whole conversation to me is that Democrats have been so successful in branding this.
Because they got nothing else to run on.
It's so successful that every Republican is now afraid of their own policies because their policies are toxic.
Running away from Project 2025 is about as effective as questioning Kamala Harris's ethnicity. I mean, we already have the receipts. We have the J.D. Vance forward. We have the officials in the training video. We have the speeches for the Heritage Foundation. We already got it. Y'all just messed up because y'all couldn't decide if Project 2025 was a legislative wife or a legislative side piece. Y'all chose to bring the legislative side piece to the wedding, and now you're mad that all the photos getting plastered all over social media and you didn't want nobody to know about it. Well, that's your fault.
2025, and you're going to tell me that's my party platform. My Republican Party platform was rolled out by Donald Trump a few weeks ago,
I understand what the official,
what
the quote-unquote official platform is, but the reality is that the people who created this platform are the people who were working in the
reality is that you have nothing to run on, you have no policy, and you have to lie
the
about
reality
ours.
is that you're afraid of your own policies because you know it's unpopular. Eliminating the Department of Education is an unpopular thing to do.
Because I want to give Gretchen.
What you just said is
Trump,
not true.
Trump just said Trump wants to do the exact same thing Project 2025 wants to do.
Not.
He wants to eliminate the Department of Education. He just said so this week.
Okay, Nancy Mace, he in fact did say that this week.
And what I'm going to do, one of the first acts, and this is where I need an Elon Musk, I need somebody that has a lot of strength and courage and smarts. I want to close up Department of Education, move education back to the states, where states like Iowa, where states like Idaho, not every state will do great.
However, Keith Boykin, she might have been in the waiting room. Yeah, she might have been one of the billions of people that was unable to listen to the conversation live.
But what's stupid is allowing people, criminals, to go into stores in California and not being able to arrest them unless it's $900 or $950 and more.
The problem is that that's not actually what's true.
And you see
That's not
videos
actually
of
what the
people
law is.
going into stores in these blue cities and blue states, stealing merchandise and not being stopped. We've all seen these videos.
So should Donald Trump not be allowed to go into a store because he's a convicted criminal?
I don't think.
I had so many comebacks, but Keith, that was better than anything I had. That was solid. Did you know there is no shoplifting in red states? They're not going to be happy you just told everybody they open for business. I was just watching a documentary about a bank robber. I actually thought it was incredible that they had the courage to go in there and rob a bank. Little did I know the fact that they were allowed to walk free just meant that it was okay.
They've abandoned the working people of America. They've abandoned the middle. They've now been taken over by California liberals who want the Green New Deal, electric cars, ban plastic straws. She wants to take away red meat. They're now going to institute government.
Are you saying that because you're associating her with?
No, those are the things she said. These are the things that she's all campaigned for. These are all the things that
take away red
Kamala has campaigned for: reducing the red meat, banning plastic straws, the Green New Deal. She's now talking about government price controls for groceries. She wants government housing. She's going to tell you where you have to live. These are all part of her radical socialist policies.
Government housing already exists.
Also, this dude was there, and after this, I know he wish he wasn't. Man, I can't wait to see the reaction back in MAGA land.
Virtually 100% of the net job creation in the last year has gone to migrants. You know that? Most of the job creation has gone to migrants. In fact, I've heard that substantially more than beyond the number of 100%. It's a much higher number than that, but the government hasn't caught up with that yet.
Wait a minute, I created this job in the last year. Does that make me a migrant?
And when they find out, I think you're going to see something. But right now, even not knowing her, and with all of the cover of Time magazine, they didn't put a picture. They got a great artist to do it. What was that all about? What was that all about? The whole thing is crazy.
Time magazine. I haven't seen anybody be this triggered by a magazine cover since I first saw the Sports Illustrated swimsuit issue when I was 8. I'm going to go ahead and need you, for the good of the country, to put out a gang more covers. I'm talking about like every other day. And it just have kids send in photos of Kamala Harris. It triggers him to a degree that has given me so much entertainment.
I have to say, Miriam, I watched Sheldon sitting so proud in the White House when we gave Miriam the Presidential Medal of Freedom. That's the highest award you can get as a civilian. It's the equivalent of the Congressional Medal of Honor, but civilian version. It's actually much better because everyone gets the Congressional Medal of Honor, that's soldiers. They're either in very bad shape because they've been hit so many times by bullets, or they're dead. She gets it, and she's a healthy, beautiful woman.
If this how they acting before the DNC even start, it's gonna be a hot one. Today's nominee, Ann Coulter. You know, is Ann Coulter like the Kevin Durant of Racist of the Week? Like, did she just basking in gold medals? No. That's Nikki Haley. That's Nikki Haley. She got like 4 of them things. But Trump is coming for Nikki Haley. He would be like the Anthony Edwards of Racist of the Week. But don't sleep on Ann Coulter's racism. Here I was minding my own black business, readjusting from the Olympics. When I get hit with this. Why C-SPAN? Why? Isn't this the People's Network? I need to know who asked for Ann Coulter. You know, other than Jimmy Walker. Now, I understand she can't go on Fox News because of what she said about Trump.
Is that stupid?
Respectfully, you sound bitter now. And the reason why...
A, don't lie to us when you're campaigning and getting our votes. B, you sound like a battered woman making excuses. Well, maybe he won't hit me next time. It's been 4 years. He's been beating the crap out of you. He had 4 years, Patrick. 4 years, yeah. 2 with a Republican Congress. Oh, but I know he could have not hit me, but maybe he was thinking he was waiting for our golden anniversary to stop hitting me. He was just waiting for that perfect time. No, he had 4 years. He didn't build it.
And she can't go on CNN or MSNBC because what she said about, well, literally everybody else.
And I would also say one other thing. These child actors weeping and crying on all the other networks 24/7 right now. Do not fall for it, Mr. President. I get very nervous about the president getting his news from TV because I also have an Adios America.
I don't know if I don't know if that's...
New Yorker is not a conservative publication. They describe.
So I told you we wouldn't get a word in. I told you.
These kids are being
I'm
coached.
So sorry. We have to go.
They're given scripts to read by liberals, according to the New Yorker. Don't fall for the actor children.
But what made you think this was going to go well?
Well, I write about this a little bit in my book, Mugged, about racial demagoguery, and also in Adios America about immigration. And that is, the important point he should have made is that the entire purpose of affirmative action, set-asides, civil rights laws that limit constitutional rights to freedom of contract, freedom of association, all of that was to make up for the legacy of slavery and Jim Crow. So unless these benefits are going to, roughly defined, foundational black Americans, the descendants of American slaves, you've taken away the whole purpose of this.
Okay, I'm gonna stop us right there. What does this have to do with Kamala Harris? Huh? What does this have to do? Are you insinuating that her nomination for president is an affirmative action DEI program? Is that what you're saying? Are you saying she don't qualify for the DEI program, the presidential DEI program? She don't qualify because she's Indian? Is that where I'm going? Because first your argument is that the whole thing is some sort of DEI program, and then you want to disqualify her for the DEI program. So if I want to go along with your whole affirmative action presidency, how often does that come into play? Because we got the presidency in 2008 and 2012. So like every 16 years it come around. I'm just trying to understand the rules. I want to know how I get in. You know what I mean? Where do I sign up for the president DEI program? I am a foundational black, so by all means.
And that is exactly what's happened once we got this huge load of immigrants. Now, a Thai who arrived on Wednesday will get an advantage applying to college, applying to corporations, over over, a heterosexual white male in particular. That's the biggest hate group.
Oh, okay. So now it's a problem that the immigrants who come in can take advantage of DEI and affirmative action, but it wasn't a problem when white women were able to take advantage of affirmative action. That's interesting. That is interesting. That's a take. That is a take.
But any white American and all of the civil rights laws have been, and affirmative action and so on, have been twisted into just anti-white hatred and open, egregious discrimination. So to make the point that Kamala isn't a foundational black American, I'm always pointing out to black people, hey, have you noticed Indians are getting all the good diversity jobs?
No, but I noticed y'all were. That I did notice. Mm-hmm.
What did we do to Indians? We didn't enslave them. I mean, most of these immigrants coming in, 90% of legal immigrants are from the third world. And mostly we've just run around saving them from earthquakes and tornadoes and coups and starvation. You know, they owe us. We don't owe them. But to switch from the concept of integration and civil rights for black Americans to this BS-y diversity, it's nothing but discrimination against white people.
Now, when exactly did it become discrimination against white people? Was it always, or was it when you stopped being able to take advantage of it because you saw Indian people filling the slots that you were trying to steal from black people? Is that when it became discrimination? Because you ceded that this whole thing was to make up for the legacy of slavery. So obviously the program in and of itself cannot be discrimination if it's to make up for that legacy. But you mad they stole your spot. Don't try and get us on your side, Ann Coulter, because it wasn't a problem until they stole your spot. Ain't none of us rallying for you other than Jimmy Walker.
Dynamite! And that point should be made not just to, as I think Trump is always thinking, oh, he's going to win the black vote. He's not going to win the black vote. You ought to do things because they're the right thing to do, not because this is an appeal to black people, like releasing criminals. He thinks he's going to get the black vote by being soft on crime. Anyway, not only to point out to black Americans that their history is being stolen by immigrants.
Our history is being stolen by immigrants. If by immigrants you mean Ron DeSantis, then I would agree. And I see you too, Mississippi. Don't try and hide Alabama. Oh, our history is being stolen, all right, but it ain't by Indians. And I do have to ask, what is your fascination with Indians, by the way?
Me too. Thanks for having me. That was a fantastic opening monologue. I, too, am a fan of yours. I'm going to make a point of disagreeing with you so that it will be fun. You are so bright and articulate, and I guess I can call you articulate since you're not an American black. Can't say that about them. That's derogatory. And that was a great opening segment. Lots of things to talk about there. Oh, and I agreed with many, many things you said during, in fact, probably more than most other candidates when you were running for president. But I still would not have voted for you because you're an Indian.
What did Indians ever do to you? Is this about Dinesh D'Souza? That would make sense. Yeah, that would make sense. Now, as far as this fascination with Kamala Harris and her ethnicity, I'm noticing a bit of a trend, and I'm not the only one. I mean, if she's not black enough for you, then you must have a real foundational black that you would like to nominate instead, right? By the way, you should try Fox News again, because you would be right at home on this issue.
I got White Dudes for Harris right here, and I'm not going to put it on. For one reason, I don't want to mess up my hair, but two, I'm not for Harris, so I'm going to give it to you. A white dude for Harris. You are white, right? You're white. Are you half?
I'll give it to my father-in-law.
Okay. You wear that. You wear that, Harold. I give this as a gift.
Thank you.
And you put it on your beautiful head.
I appreciate that. Red, white,
You
and
won't
blue.
wear it, so you're not a Harris supporter.
I am.
You're not going to mess up your hair. Look at it.
I'm a huge.
Come on, Harold, put the hat on.
Who would have thought that biracial people would be the only thing harder for MAGA to understand than election results?
Who are you going to vote for in this election?
Well, Donald Trump, because if he loses, he will be running again in 4 years. And then he will have lost 4 successive elections for us.
That is the first honest thing you've said.
And you know, truthfully, I really like his choice of J.D. Vance, which I had recommended back in May.
Oh, you mean this J.D. Vance? You mean this J.D. Vance?
She wanted to open the border, but now she doesn't. She should have to answer for why she presents a different set of policies to one audience and a different set of policies to another audience. And I think that's what President Trump is getting at. This is a fundamentally fake person. She's different depending on who she's in front of.
With respect, you changed your position on an important thing, which is Donald Trump.
You mean this J.D. Vance?
J.D. Vance, you're the Vancing queen. Photos of J.D. Vance doing drag have come to light, and I'm not gonna sit here and make fun of him for it. Why? Because look at that face. That's the face of someone experiencing pure joy. And who am I to take away someone else's joy? This drag queen right here, she is geared up to go to the Pink Pony Club. And then hitting this sexy pose right here, Mama was feeling herself. J.D. Vancing Dancing Queen, I'm not about to take this away from you. I know you want to outlaw and make drag as an art form illegal. And I just want to let you know, don't rob yourself of that joy. You don't need a couch to feel this happy again.
Oh, we love him.
Can't trust Trump as far as I can throw him, but I do trust J.D. Vance to care about the left behind people.
Well, just to give people an update, in 2018 you wrote a book called In Trump We Trust, E Pluribus Awesome. What happened?
No, that was 2016. That was the campaign.
Sorry about that. What happened?
Yeah. Well, he didn't keep any of his promises. And by the way, it's a great book. I stand by the book. I wish Republican politicians would read it. I gave a copy to some of my favorite Republicans, and inscribed it, but you have to actually do it. I do think the 2015-16 Trump campaign, it was one of the greatest campaigns in world history, and in part because it really changed the Republican Party to a party I preferred.
I bet you did.
And that is, instead of just lots of permanent, useless foreign wars and tax cuts, it was about, well, 3 things: immigration, trade, no more pointless foreign wars. And I've been waiting to vote for that basket of issues, it feels like my entire life. Also, just a lot of the things, not talking about your family. Please drop the family biographies. Please stop invoking Ronald Reagan. He was president, a million years ago. The world looked different then. So all of these, and I'm optimistic, that thing that they all got, I guess, from Reagan. And I pointed out that, no, when Reagan ran in 1980, he was very far from optimistic. He was viciously attacking Jimmy Carter. No one wants to know about your family. Stop with that crap.
Wait, your boy J.D. Vance can't stop talking about families.
Now, my mamaw died shortly before I left for Iraq in 2005. But it's going to be something I continue to talk about, is that the left has increasingly become explicitly anti-child and anti-family.
Is doing a project talking to voters all over swing states. He talked to Republican voters in the critical swing state, must win, I would say, swing state of Pennsylvania.
Of course.
One of them, Carol Carty, said she was almost a childless dog lady because she didn't happen to meet the right person until she was 40 years old. Another, Joan London, was offended that you don't think she has a stake in the future of the country because she doesn't have children. What do you say to key voters like that, Republicans, swing voters?
Sure.
Who are put off by your views?
Well, what I would say, Dana, is if you look at what I said in context, the Harris campaign has frankly lied about what I actually said. I'm pro-family. I want us to have more families, and obviously sometimes it doesn't work out, sometimes for medical reasons, sometimes because you don't meet the right person. But the point is that our country has become anti-family in its public policy.
Oh, no, it's not about your family. We don't care about your family. It's about other people's families. We want to dictate what you can do. I'm just going to do whatever. You would, once again, be right at home on Fox News on this issue.
And the up from the bootstrap stories, the John Kasich with the postman father and Rubio with the bartender. Can you please just tell us what you're going to do for the country? And so I loved, Trump coming out and saying, yeah, I'm rich and I'm going to fix the country. But the main reason, and if you read the book, by the way, I make it very clear that personally Trump is an awful person. We are making an exception this one time because we need a wall on the border.
Awful, you say? Like the kind of person that would question his opponent's ethnicity?
She was always of Indian heritage, and she was only promoting Indian heritage. I didn't know she was black until a number of years ago when she happened to turn black, and now she wants to be known as black.
No, that's not it, because you did that too.
Kamala isn't a foundational black American. I'm always pointing out to black people, hey, have you noticed Indians are getting all the good diversity jobs?
Yeah, I think you're giving him more credit. I don't even think it's knowing how to be. I think he's a narcissistic. I didn't read, the one thing I didn't know when I wrote In Trump We Trust is how profoundly stupid he is.
Oh, you mean like the kind of stupid who talks about crowd sizes despite losing the popular vote twice? How about that crowd size, Trump? Or the kind of stupid who would claim AI when he himself regularly posts AI. And also, there is video. The kind of stupid who gets caught in 4K at the golf course talking down on a woman who's kicking his...
How did I do with the debate the other night?
Oh, amazing.
He kicked that old broken down pile of crap.
Yeah.
It's a bad guy. He just quit, he's quitting the race.
Is that right?
Yep, I got him out of the race. And that means we have Kamala. I think she's going to be better. She's so bad. She's so pathetic.
It's so amazing.
It's just so fucking bad. So
I just can't imagine.
But can you imagine that guy dealing with Putin and the president of China, who's a fierce person? He's a fierce man, a very tough guy. And they see him, they can't. But they just announced he's probably quitting.
Good.
Very good.
Yeah, that's amazing.
Just keep knocking him out, right?
Thank you.
So you're trusting the awful person who's profoundly stupid to enact the policies that you want. Sounds about white. Must be nice. Well, at least he's not Indian.
Hell yeah, I love America, and I hate Bud Light because it's full of queers. Yeah, freedom! That was all.
So what does that mean? What did you just said?
What does freedom mean?
No, you said I hate Bud Light. Why do you hate Bud Light?
Well, because they cater all the wokeness and the not the un-American spirit.
What was un-American that they did?
This is a new segment that I'm tentatively calling Who Raised Y'all? Yes, so welcome to Who Raised Y'all? This is where we highlight those very special Americans who are going above and beyond to hold us back as a society. You know, the people that you'll hear asking to speak to the manager at the pearly gates. As usual, I would like to thank today's sponsor, These Hands. And don't forget to like and subscribe to the page, and definitely leave me any possible suggestions for nominees in the comments. Today's nominee, Ann Coulter, Mike Crispy, talk show host Jay Weber, Officer Tatum. You know what? All of MAGA. Just MAGA. Now, while the rest of us were either enjoying the DNC,
strategize on Sunday, meet the moment on Monday, take it to them on Tuesday, work it out on Wednesday, thank the Lord on Thursday, fight the power on Friday, set it off on Saturday, get a few hours of sleep, wake up the next day, and do it all over again until joy comes in the morning.
or ignoring the DNC.
Among the MAGAs, a lack of education is common, leading to a limited understanding of the world around them. This undereducation fuels their reliance on misinformation and conspiracy theories as they struggle to differentiate fact from fiction in their environment.
A few of us were spending quality time they'll never get back hate watching the DNC.
Survivors of crime.
No
to
way.
remind them, no one should be made to fight alone.
Kamala Harris will never be my president.
Now, I won't judge a hate watch. I've hate watched many things, including the RNC, this year's NBA Finals, and Carmen, a hip opera. The key is not letting the hate watch turn you into an awful human being. And yes, I recognize, Ann Coulter, that might be difficult. I recognize that might be, not that it would turn you into an awful human being, just you start out awful. So it's not going to help your condition. Enter Ann Coulter, who after watching a touching moment between Coach Tim Walz and his son.
If you've never experienced the hell that is infertility, I guarantee you, you know somebody who has. And I can remember praying each night for a phone call. The pit in your stomach when the phone had rang, and the absolute agony when we heard the treatments hadn't worked. It took Gwen and I years, but we had access to fertility treatments. And when our daughter was born, we named her Hope. Hope, Gus, and Gwen, you are my entire world, and I love you. I'm letting you in on how we started a family, because this is a big part about what this election is about.
Which quite frankly moved me. I just had a son and I'm thinking about the motivation that I feel wanting to support him and wanting to support my daughter, keeping my battery energized all throughout the week, even when I'm exhausted. And to think that one day he could be that proud of me is unbelievable. That was my reaction. But if you're Ann Coulter, you go with this. And sad as it is for our humanity, she was far from alone.
I saw it, I said, dang, his little sister down there being humble and showing fortitude, and he's up there looking like, you know, somebody done spanked him or something. Look at him, look at him. I think that Democrats are emboldening and creating weak men.
Now, it just so happens that Gus Walz is neurodivergent, has ADHD, anxiety, and a nonverbal learning disorder, things the Walz family is very upfront about, which is probably why a lot of these takes were deleted. Notice I said a lot, not necessarily all. But to me, that doesn't even matter because they've treated Ella Emhoff the exact same way. So no, I can't really give you the benefit of, oh no, I didn't know, when you still saw fit to take a shot at a child. That was the intention, whether or not he was neurodivergent or not. And to that, I just have to say, you just couldn't resist. You just couldn't resist being a terrible person. You knew exactly what you were doing, taking a shot at somebody who's sitting there just supporting his father, or in the case of Ella Emhoff, supporting her stepmother. You just can't resist being the absolute worst. Really, it's a MAGA hallmark, if we're being honest. It is a hallmark of MAGA. Now, I just wanted to break this down for you as somebody that approaches the political space from a comedic standpoint, the hierarchy of political family. You have family that are all up in the video like Diddy in the 90s. Yes, I'm talking about you, Eric Trump.
I'm telling you, the country's going to reward Donald Trump. He was the best president this country's ever had.
And Don Jr.
I get it. My guys, who I stayed in touch with, many of them just dear friends, they're like, hey, dude, there's no way you would have gotten away with that. I go, I know. Luckily, I don't snort cocaine. Like, it's not my thing. The high interest rates combating the inflation has made home ownership almost impossible for many Americans.
Now, they can get it. Punks jump up to get knocked down. They can get it 1,000%. But Barron, on the other hand, and Melania, they're kind of more or less just hangers on. Tiffany exists somewhere in the middle. Needless to say, Ella Emhoff and Gus Waltz, who you barely even know, are way on the extreme of leave them alone. I can tell you, as much smoke as I have for George W. Bush, I can't even tell you what his daughters look like. I can't tell you what they sound like. I can't tell you what they wear. And I wouldn't recognize Laura Bush if I ran into her at a Harris Teeter with a name tag on. I actually have a personal story about this because I actually went to high school right down the street from Chelsea Clinton. Yes, I have just aged myself. Leave Google alone. And I can never forget her deciding to go to a basketball game, which meant there had to be all this additional security at the game, and you had to go through metal detectors and this secret service everywhere. And people were not pleased. People were definitely not pleased for having to do that just to go to a basketball game. And you see, as nerdy as I am, and you see as nerdy as Chelsea Clinton is, you know this was not a high-level basketball game that people were attending to have to deal with all of that. Well, I remember sitting there and wondering why it is that she would subject everybody to this and why she would subject herself to this. And I came to the conclusion because it was probably the only opportunity she ever had to go to a game, to see a high school basketball game, and to have a normal experience. Well, it actually wasn't normal because the fans on my side of the bleachers, which went to my school, jeered her mercilessly. I mean, they gave her the business. You think about it, they said it. And yes, this is the 90s. Now, I remember the look on her face because she couldn't react to it because she didn't want to show that they were getting to her. So she was kind of very stoic in her face. But I'm just thinking to myself, she didn't sign up for this. You know who else didn't? Gus Waltz. Well, needless to say, the streets weren't having it.
And if you come for Gus, you're going to have to see me. If you come for Gus, you're going to have to see me. I said if you're going to come for Gus, you're going to have to see me. Because I am still reveling in this beautiful display of affection that a son has for his father, which suggests how much affection and pouring and love there is that the father has for the son. And in a time when the red pill community, me man, me right movement is so high, we will not allow you to come and tear down and denigrate what genuine love and affection looks like. You know, the actual emotions that men themselves carry as well. The emotions that we too can display as well. If you come for Gus, you're going to have to see me. Because what I want to see is more of this. I want to see more affection between the father and his son, between the father and his daughter, between a man and his brother, between the daddy and the great-grandfather. I want to see more. I want to see more men standing in their power, doing the things they need to do, improving the community, going to work, providing for the family, being a safety and a sounding board for the family, while also being vulnerable enough to know that he can't do it alone and he needs the family to support him and help him and love him and cry on him and push him up and lean on him and push him to go forward and also tell him when to sit down. All of it! I want to see all of it. All of it. So let me say this before I skedaddle. If you come for Gus, you're going to have to see me.
I feel like you could have been nastier.
I'm reporting on the very last day of the Democratic National Convention here in Chicago, Illinois, and I feel like the entire week I've been very demure, very mindful, very cutesy, but ever since I saw Ann Coulter say this about Tim Walz' son who is disabled, I'm going to say fuck that shit. It's all out of the window. Man, fuck you, Ann. Don't nobody give a fuck about a woman who died 10 years ago and is decomposing and still dyes her hair with peroxide in the motherfucking sink. What the fuck do you know about raising children, okay? Childless monkey women for Trump. That's exactly what you are because you look like the Wicked Witch of the motherfucking West. They need to throw water on your ass and make you melt. We are tired of this shit. And as Michelle Obama said earlier this week, we're no longer going high when y'all go low. We're going to drag your bitch ass to hell where your unseasoned succubus ass belongs. Fuck you.
10. That was a perfect 10. That was a perfect 10. Matter of fact, I need to see the replay.
I'm reporting on the very last day of the Democratic National Convention here in Chicago, Illinois, and I feel like the entire week I've been very demure, very mindful, very cutesy, but ever since I saw Ann Coulter say this about Tim Walz' son who is disabled, I'm going to say fuck that shit. It's all out of the window. Man, fuck you, Ann. Don't nobody give a fuck about a woman who died 10 years ago and is decomposing and still dyes her hair with peroxide in the motherfucking sink. What the fuck do you know about raising children, okay? Childless monkey women for Trump. That's exactly what you are because you look like the Wicked Witch of the motherfucking West. They need to throw water on your ass and make you melt. We are tired of this shit. And as Michelle Obama said earlier this week, we're no longer going high when y'all go low. We're going to drag your bitch ass to hell where your unseasoned succubus ass belongs. Fuck you.
Now, we'll give Ann Coulter some credit. She made even your garden variety MAGA troll look good by comparison. As did Crispy. As did Collins. How you gonna run the oldest candidate in the history of the presidency who has a child who's a teenager and talk about spoiled milk? Literally every allegation is a confession from MAGA. That makes you perfectly suited to be exactly where you are on the political spectrum. Really involving Officer Tatum was a real mistake here because he has no impact absolutely on this issue. I mean, if you can't expect somebody who has no feelings about his own to have feelings about somebody else's. But it was nice to see him clown himself in 4K. Typically, he clowns himself in SD. What's that? Ann Coulter's having a bad week? Oh, I bet she is, because I know how much she loves J.D. Vance.
I really like his choice of J.D. Vance, which I had recommended back in May. Can't trust Trump as far as I can throw him, but I do trust J.D. Vance to care about the left behind people.
To realize your personal hero can't even interact with other human beings.
The zoo has come to town. Thank you for letting us come in here.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. I'm sorry, man. Okay, yeah. She doesn't want to be on film, guys, so just cut her out of anything. Appreciate that, man. I'm J.D. Vance. I'm running for vice president. Good to see you.
Okay.
How long have you worked here?
I've been here since the beginning of July.
Okay.
For this year.
Okay, good. How about you, sir?
Almost 2 years.
Okay, good. Just everything, yeah. I mean, a lot of glazed here, some sprinkle stuff, some of these cinnamon rolls, just whatever makes sense. How long has this place been around?
About 4 years.
About 4 years? Okay. How long have you been here?
A little over 6 months.
Okay, good.
Which was even more weird even after Patton Oswalt confirmed he took his class on connecting with the crowd.
All right, thank you for coming. Where are you from?
Los Angeles.
Okay. Where are you from?
What?
Where are you from?
Wisconsin.
Okay. And where are you from?
You just asked me.
Oh, let's get her on camera. And
I don't want to be on camera.
Okay. How long have you lived in Wisconsin?
My whole life.
Okay. And I talked to you. Did you? Oh, do you work here? He's okay.
Just look at all this nastiness, inhumane and unhuman treatment from MAGA. Y'all used to be the party of family values. And now look at you.
Yo, I'm not gonna lie, the DNC is so fucking lit. Like, that shit was super poppin' last night. Like, DJ Cassidy killed it. Shout out to DJ Cassidy. Shout out to Lil Jon. Like, they had Lil Jon there. This shit was fire. But I was thinking, Kamala should have a new slogan. It should be, let's manipulate Americans into thinking that everything is all good and everything is just funny and laughs and jokes and, like, just cool-ass music.
Amber Rose, I thought we'd been through this. The GOP is not going to tip you. No, they don't want to go to the back room. GOP just here to have a beer. Go sit down somewhere and wait till your song comes on. Today's nominee, failed GOP presidential candidate Vivek Ramaswamy. Huh, what's that? You sorry for pressing Van Jones?
And the smug, condescending way that he just spews this poison out is very, very dangerous, because he won't stop Trump, but he's going to outlive Trump by about 50 years. And you're watching the rise of an American demagogue that is a very, very despicable person. Yeah. And I was shaking listening to him talk.
A few moments later.
And I'm not going to attribute that to your comment, because whatever it is. But for our family, you know what? Publicly I didn't do it, but for our family, yeah, it pissed us the heck off, actually. And so the reality is, I don't try to engage in rhetoric that gets other people in danger of bodily harm. But I do think that if somebody's going to, even if you didn't intend to provoke that kind of ire on my family, yeah, in that week it landed with me.
No, this is not even for that. We wouldn't nominate you for that, but touche. I must say how thrilled I am that this day has finally come upon us, because I've been waiting to honor Vivek with Racist of the Week for a long time.
You took issue with comments from Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley. She reportedly said, quote, "We don't need any more brown faces that don't want to be a brown voice." About that, you said, "These are the words of the modern grand wizards of the modern KKK."
Repeatedly now, referring to Massachusetts Congresswoman Ayanna Pressley and author Ibram Kendi as, quote, grand wizards of the modern KKK. Now, I understand you differ with both of them politically, and probably with me. But as a graduate of Harvard and Yale universities, I believe you must be aware the Ku Klux Klan is not a political party. It's a terrorist organization. Historians view the Klan as the driving force behind lynchings of blacks in the American South, more than 4,000 people murdered from 1877 to 1950. And the group is linked to numerous other acts of racial violence continuing through the civil rights movement to the present day. You're running to be the leader of the free world, so your choice of words matter. Have you taken any time to reflect upon the possibility that comparing your political rivals to murderous terrorists might put their lives in danger at a time when hate crimes are on the rise? Or do you just don't care?
Now, those frequent viewers of the channel know that there are two things that really get up under my cocoa butter. One, people that are born on third base think they hit a triple and it's our job to carry them home. People of privilege who use said wealth that they did nothing to attain to look down on and subjugate other people.
I mean, I look at what you do. You walk in and you just say, "You want to quit?" They go on strike. I won't mention the name of the company, but they go on strike and you say, "That's okay. You're all gone. You're all gone." So every one of you is gone, and you are the greatest. You would be very good. Oh, you would love it.
The second being racism that comes from non-white people. When people come into this country and feel the need to insert themselves in our long-standing racial family business for the reason of denigrating black people.
Reparations from slavery and black victimization is about to be shoved down our throats for the most wretched holiday in America. BLM raised millions, but what did they do for black lives? It is outrageous to see people asking for reparations even though they never went through slavery. These ungrateful people should be celebrating because they were born in the greatest nation to ever exist. Here's a tip. If you don't like America, kindly get the fuck out.
Which is something we've covered quite a bit here at Racist of the Week.
We've never been a racist country. I faced racism when I was growing up.
Come again?
We've never been a racist country. I faced racism when I was growing up.
One more time.
We've never been a racist country. I faced racism when I was growing up.
Nikki, I need you to help me with something. There's also this tweet that you posted, as well as your own family history. Your family only immigrated because civil rights leaders reformed America's racist immigration laws in 1965 to allow Asians to immigrate. Her father then taught at an HBCU. Then there's the existence and necessity for HBCUs in the first place, which could also refute your point. Oh, I get it now. Individual people can be racist, but America isn't racist. So those people who discriminated against you were lone wolves, and your family, those were also lone wolves. And Black people unable to attend the PWI, lone wolves, the slave owning founding fathers, lone wolves, the Civil War, lone wolves, Jim Crow, lone wolves, Birth of a Nation, lone wolves, redlining, lone wolves, the Southern Strategy, lone wolves, the Indian Removal Act, lone wolves. That's a wolf pack you got there. You know what? We gonna need a name for this wolf pack. Let's call it Sam, Uncle Sam. Well, Vivek decided to give his thoughts on reparations, and he made sure this week would be his week.
So here's my perspective. I was asked about this when I came to the south side of Chicago a year ago, and my position on this has not changed, is I'm against race-based reparations because I think it will create more division,
what
not
about
less.
race-based discrimination that occurred in this country for
Yeah, so let me just clarify one aspect. I think there was a time and place for it in the Reconstruction era. But today, when we actually bring back racial reparations, it actually causes greater discrimination, not more. I think we're seeing a rise in anti-Black and I think other forms of racism in the country. But part of the reason I think we're seeing it is there's no better way to foster racial animus than to take something away from someone based on their skin color.
So no
Have we
more
done
Black
that in this
people
country?
justice because it'll make other people upset.
Well, because it's going to create more division and be self-defeating. I think it's actually going to set Black Americans back because it will cause.
But Black Americans continue to live in that sense.
I want to move out of one example.
I want to move out of the middle of this.
Yeah,
because I feel like so let me say this.
Ooh. You know what? Let's take these one at a time.
I'm against race-based reparations.
Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and stop us right there. You are against race-based reparations. What we gonna base it on hair color? Huh? We gonna base it on shoe size? I'm sorry. Was slavery race-based? No, it wasn't. It wasn't the Black people. It was the people with high blood pressure. Yeah, everybody who had high blood pressure had to be enslaved. I think it was based on who was eating too much chicken.
I'm against race-based reparations because I think it will create more division, not less.
It would create more division. Wow, you are the greatest judge that a perpetrator could ever ask for. Hey, I'm sorry they stole your car, but no, we can't give it back because it would create division. They would get upset if we asked them to give the car back. So no, we can't. Do you think the theft of labor created division?
Discrimination that occurred in this country for
Yeah, so let me just clarify one aspect. I think there was a time and place for it in the Reconstruction era. But today, when we actually bring back racial reparations, it actually causes greater discrimination, not more.
Ah, okay. So, Andrew Johnson would love that, who was the president who took over for Abraham Lincoln. So you successfully were able to wait us out. Hey, I know that we have no justification to not give reparations now. I'm just going to kick the can down the road till we can find some more arguments to how unwieldy it would become to give reparations. That way, we never have to give it. What's that? I owe you $20. There was a time and place to give you that $20, and that would have been when I got my check a week ago. But giving it to you now would just create more division in my household.
I think we're seeing a wave, a rise in anti-black and I think other forms of racism in the country.
Well, at least we can acknowledge that. In fact, I'm looking at some.
I think we're seeing a wave, a rise in anti-black and I think other forms of racism in the country. But part of the reason I think we're seeing it is there's no better way to foster racial animus than to take something away from someone based on their skin color.
Part of the reason we are seeing a rise in anti-black racism and racial animus is because of taking something away because of their skin color. What did we take away? What did we? Because the reparations actually ain't happened yet. So I'm just curious. Did some of us get some reparations? And that's what caused the rise in anti-black racism? I'm confused as to exactly what has been taken away. I'll tell you what was taken away: generational wealth from us. And I like how all of this racial animus at things being taken away is squarely aimed at black people. You ain't thinking about the animus that might come from generations of taking things away and not giving what was owed. Oh, that animus don't matter.
So no more black people justice because it'll make other people upset.
Well, because it's going to create more division and be self-defeating. I think it's actually going to set black Americans back.
Oh, boy. Before I make decisions for myself and my people, I always ask Vivek Ramaswamy. Yeah, I always ask Vivek Ramaswamy, what is best for me? Because he knows what is best, not only for me, but for all black people. I don't know if y'all knew this, but black people, before we decide what is best for us, we ask Vivek.
Because it's going to create more division and be self-defeating. I think it's actually going to set black Americans back.
That's funny, because when it comes to corporations having gifts bestowed upon them or not paying their fair share of taxes, the idea is always that would just trickle down to the rest of the people. Oh, no, you don't have to worry about it. It's going to boost the economy. Funny how that doesn't work for black people, though. Hold on, I just got to send a quick email. I will not be paying my mortgage any longer because that would ultimately be self-defeating to the bank.
Because it will cause,
but black Americans continue to live in that center.
I want to move out of the middle of this.
Yeah.
He stood there for a long time being in the frame for the reparations conversation. I can say that right now. He stood there much longer than I would have been able to. That's for sure. Now, one thing I have been doing recently is trying to put something positive at the end of Racist of the Week. And this week will be no different because I have such a litany of things to choose from. Here, I would like to give a shout out to Maxwell Frost, Congressman from Florida, and the first representative we've had in this country from Gen Z.
You asked multiple questions.
I did not ask him a question.
You certainly did. You said, did you see this?
Time has expired. Gentlelady's time's expired. Chair now recognizes Mr. Frost from Florida.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Before I get into it, it's interesting to hear my colleague just now talk about disavowing white supremacists when in 2022, she spoke at an event led by white supremacist and white nationalist Nick Fuentes, and when asked about it, doubled down on it and said, we're going to focus on people, not labels. So get out of here with that damn hypocrisy.
Who laid it down at the DNC and asked some questions that I myself have wanted answered.
This election is about every drop of water that we consume and every breath we breathe. Fighting the climate crisis is patriotic. And unlike Donald Trump, our patriotism is more than some damn slogan on a hat. It's about
actually giving a damn about the people who live in this country. Because when you love somebody, you want them to have clean air. When you love somebody, you want them to have safe drinking water. And when you love somebody, you want them to have a dignified job. And so, America, it's simple. Let's get to work and elect Kamala Harris and Tim Walz for our planet, for our future, for our present, and for our people. God bless.
Very well done, Maxwell Frost. Congratulations to you, sir. But special congratulations to Vivek Ramaswamy.
I still would not have voted for you because you're an Indian.
Now here I am thinking Vivek will have Racist of the Week all sewn up.
I'm against race-based reparations because I think it will create more division, not less.
I don't remember asking you a goddamn thing.
And then Oh, I missed something?
You want to get crazy? You want me to throw more beers out? You want me to body slam somebody? You want me to body slam Kamala Harris? I said, do you want me to body slam Kamala Harris? You want me to drop the leg on Kamala? Is Kamala a chameleon? Is she Indian? Okay, I like it. Ow. I'm gonna get heat for that one, brother. That was not me, that was the beers talking.
Oh, I saw that, but then I went on living my life. Besides, when that dropped, I was in church.
I need my neighbor's children to be okay so that my children will be okay. I need all of my neighbor's children to be okay. Poor inner city children in Atlanta and poor children of Appalachia. I need the poor children of Israel and the poor children of Gaza. I need Israelis and Palestinians. I need those in the Congo, those in Haiti, those in Ukraine. I need American children on both sides of the track to be okay. Because we are all God's children. And so let's stand together. Let's work together. Let's organize together. Let's pray together. Let's stand together. Let's heal the land. God bless you. Keep the faith.
What? There's more?
This is where the president has his most impact. You have a lot of room to maneuver there as commander-in-chief. We don't know who she is. We don't know what she believes. She's going to get paralyzed in the Situation Room while the generals have their way with her. Right now,
Jesse Waters.
Jesse, I don't like that.
Figurative.
Well, see, technically, that is sexism. Technically, that would actually be a good candidate for my new video segment, Who Raised Y'all? Where I did the first one recently where I nominated Ann Coulter and really all of MAGA. Well, right now, the leader for Who Raised Y'all this week is the New York Times. There's CNN and that phony undecided voter who's now selling anti-Kamala merch. I guess those CNN panel checks aren't paying the bills. Of course, RFK. And there can never be an episode of Who Raised Y'all without Donald Trump. And also there's that business at the University of South Carolina, that whole roast of Kamala Harris. That actually might be a two-for like racism and sexism. Oh man, MAGA loves to keep those two together when it comes to Kamala Harris. Here I am thinking Vivek Ramaswamy will have Racist of the Week all sewn up in something called the National Federation of Republican Assemblies would like a word. Now, the NFRA has cited the infamous 1857 Dred Scott Supreme Court decision, which stated that enslaved people weren't citizens, to argue that Vice President Kamala Harris is ineligible to run for president according to the Constitution. Now, tell me you scared without telling me you scared. First of all, the older the case that you bring up for president, the more I know how full of crap you are. Well, see, if you use the president set forth by the ancient Romans. Personally, I'm not accepting any precedent that involves black people and their treatment that comes before the civil rights movement. That would be like basing your internet strategy on Reagan's America. By the way, just in case you're not up on your 19th century litigation,
on March 6 of 1857, the Supreme Court ruled in the case Dred Scott v. Stanford that black people were not citizens of the United States, and therefore this little federal lawsuit that you're trying to bring up to us, it ain't gonna work, Bookie. To this day, the Dred Scott decision is considered one of the worst decisions to ever be handed down by the Supreme Court. At that time, the United States Constitution did not grant citizenship to people of African descent. Even though during that time, majority, if not probably all at this point, of the slaves in the United States had actually been born in the United States. So in this case, Dred Scott was a slave in Missouri, where at the time slavery was legal, and his owners had took him across state lines to Illinois and Wisconsin, right, where slavery was illegal at the time. So Dred Scott was like, I's free now, right, because I'm in a free state. So he took the case to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court was like, no, that's not how that works. Just because you in a free state don't mean you free, homie. Like, you still belong to them people over there. So now the NFRA is trying to use this decision to claim that Kamala Harris is not eligible to run for president because her parents were not born in the United States.
The group also challenged the right of Vivek Ramaswamy and Nikki Haley to appear on Republican primary ballots. And that's funny because I just addressed both their bootlicking in yesterday's Racist of the Week. The Republican group's platform and policy document noted that the constitutional qualifications of presidential eligibility states that no person except a natural-born citizen shall be eligible, or a citizen of the United States at the time of adoption of this Constitution shall be eligible to the office of president. The same document included former President Donald Trump's running mate, Ohio Senator J.D. Vance, on a list of preferred candidates for vice president. Yeah, I'm sure it did.
I'm enjoying a leisurely stroll in the park as a human does, and I thought I would interact with some other humans that I come across. Here comes one now. Hello, I'm J.D. Vance. I'm running for vice president.
Hi, it's nice to meet you.
So how long have you been walking for?
Today or in general?
Okay, good. Wait. I think this is going pretty good so far.
The group, which adopted the document during their last national convention held between October 13th and 15th of last year, goes on to argue in the document that a natural-born citizen has to be born in the U.S. to parents who are citizens when the child is born, pointing to the thinking of Supreme Court Justices Antonin Scalia and Clarence Thomas. Quote, a natural-born citizen is defined as a person born on American soil of parents who are both citizens of the United States at the time of the child's birth, the document states. Now, for me personally, I base whether or not something is a good decision and good judgment by whether or not Antonin Scalia and Clarence Thomas agree with it. Which tells you everything you need to know about the current status of our Supreme Court. But I want to know, why are we stopping at the parents? Why not just trace it all the way back, huh? How far back you want to go? I'm ready for President Sitting Bull. The group then cites 6 cases, including Dred Scott versus Sanford. The 1857 ruling came a few years before the 1861 outbreak of the U.S. Civil War over the issue of slavery, stating that enslaved people couldn't be citizens, meaning that they couldn't expect to receive any protection from the courts or the federal government. The ruling also said that Congress didn't have the power to ban slavery from federal territory. Now, there's been a lot of confusion about some of the moves that MAGA has made and the GOP has made in defense of Trump and whether or not they're racist. Thank you for clarifying that they are, in fact, extremely racist. Tell me what you really mean. Also of note here is that if they were of the opinion that Donald Trump would easily defeat Kamala Harris and they had nothing to worry about, they wouldn't love anything more than for her to stay in this race. Oh, y'all scared. Y'all scared. The NFRA's platform document argued that several states, candidates, and major political parties have ignored this fundamental presidential qualification, including candidates Nikki Haley, Vivek Ramaswamy, and Kamala Harris, whose parents were non-American citizens at the time of their birth. The NFRA endorsed Trump during their October convention. The group's president, Alex Johnson, said in a statement to The Independent that the media suggestion that referencing a court case in a 30-plus page document equates to endorsing every aspect of the case is inherently dishonest and misleading. Well, if you didn't want people to be misled, if you didn't want people to take that out of context and be dishonest, don't reference the Dred Scott case! We firmly believe that faux Democrat Ms. Harris should never hold office for any of the many reasons people choose to highlight, including her party's tactics on dividing people by race and class, which mirror those that have led nations like Venezuela, Cuba, and North Korea into totalitarian regimes, he claimed. These policies have historically resulted in widespread suffering, economic collapse, and the erosion of individual freedoms. The Democratic Party preys on the ignorance of voters. Man, here you are trying to make a very specific case based on the Constitution, and you just go and screw it up in the same filing. You can't simultaneously tell me that she's disqualified and then what your objections are to her politics. You just told on yourself. This is no different than what happened to Claudine Gay at Harvard, where they ran her out under the guise of anti-Semitism, but just couldn't resist their calls for destroying DEI. Thank you for telling on yourselves. No, Your Honor, that can't be me in that footage because I was at work across town at the time. And also, he hit me first. Both Haley and Ramaswamy appeared on the Republican primary ballots. Former President Ronald Reagan was a member of the now 90-year-old organization. I would also like to add one-time members including H.W. Bush, Kellyanne Conway, and Ted Cruz. I know it sounds like the worst cocktail party ever conceived. Now, here's the fun part. Remember what I said about how far back you want to go with this whole thing? The NFRA's interpretation of the Constitution would have made several U.S. presidents ineligible to hold office, including George Washington, John Adams, Thomas Jefferson, and James Madison. Their parents were born in what was then the British colonies and what would later become the United States, meaning that those commanders-in-chief wouldn't meet the strict standards of the NFRA. Well, no, see, because that's different. That's different because white people are citizens of the world. Okay, so we are citizens of the world, which means everywhere we go, we just automatically grant citizenship. So even though their parents were born in the U.S. colonies, they get grandfathered in citizenship of what then became the United States due to the World Citizenship Statute of Whiteness. The U.S. Archives states on its site, the Scott v. Sanford ruling is considered by many legal scholars to be the worst ever rendered by the Supreme Court. It also notes that the decision was overturned by the 13th and 14th Amendments, which abolished slavery and stated that all people born in the U.S. are citizens. How bad your ruling gotta be to be overturned by not one, but two constitutional amendments? That is like the constitutional equivalent of a RICO. Hey, is that Levert the bass man? Hey, what's happening?
Hey, good morning. Remember when I said this to you back in 22? In an attempt to weaken the power of the black vote, politicians in the state of Louisiana and Alabama are headed to the Supreme Court in order to redefine blackness and who can be black. That's right, in 2022, white men are going to the Supreme Court to decide on who can be black in this country. And then I said this. And if Brown is overturned and enslavement as punishment for crime is not written out of state laws, then all that takes us back to Scott v. Sanford, where the Supreme Court ruled that the Constitution does not apply to black people free or enslaved, and that the Negro has no rights that the white man is bound to respect. And remember, historically, Negro did not just simply mean black people. It also included indigenous people as well. Well, yesterday, August 25th, 2024, the Republican Party came out with this. Kamala Harris can't be president of the United States of America because black people aren't considered citizens under the Constitution. That's right. The National Federation of Republican Assemblies has cited the infamous 1857 Dred Scott Supreme Court decision, which stated enslaved black people weren't considered citizens. And they did this to prove that Kamala Harris can't be president of the United States. And this is the paperwork they filed to do it. They just didn't attack Kamala Harris. They also said the same thing about Nikki Haley and Vivek Ramaswamy. Cue the music. I never thought the leopards would eat my face. Oh, I never thought the leopards would eat my face. But they are! Every non-white person who supports the Republican Party supports a party who believes you shouldn't even be a citizen of this country. Black Republicans, especially you, and I see you all over the country, doctors, lawyers, nurses, friends, ex-cons. You're supporting a party who doesn't even think you should be a citizen of this country. How dare you? And you sit there proud chanting, "Make America great again," and let's take America back to when it was great. They're talking about taking America back to the 1850s. That's where you want to go? That's where you want to be. So remember what you're voting for this coming November. You're voting for or against the re-enslavement of non-white people. That's what's on the ballot in 2024.
And all this after Tim Scott told us racism was over.
Evolution of the Southern heart that we see on display. And we Southerners get so little credit for the progress we've made. The whole notion of judging a person on the content of their character, not the color of their skin, has happened. It's not going to happen. It's not around the corner. It's in the rearview mirror. We are living Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr.'s dream.
Somebody told a lie one day.
Do you think this is going to be enough to bring all of our black conservatives back home? Are they even welcome back home? I know, right? Y'all let me know in the comments. But for you black Republicans, you have 24 hours to respond. And no, needing to hit the black MAGA store is not a valid excuse.
But because of what happened in the Garden of Eden, there will never be an elected woman, whether she's black or white, that would occupy the White House that God would ever stand behind.
He knows that he was chosen. He's our David.
Okay, so there you have it. All that happened in just the month of August. Lord help us. But somebody has to take home this trophy. So check out my post on the community page and vote for your favorite or your least favorite. Whoever had you closest to turning the video off, vote for that person. Sincere thanks to everybody who's reached out to me and submitted suggestions for videos. Keep them coming. I take submissions for ideas for a video, suggestions for Racist of the Week. If you have something that just troubles you, or you just want to send me a note, because I love getting those notes, go ahead and shoot me an email at reese@reesewaters.com. I also have a newsletter that I send out periodically, so you'll be receiving that as well. You can also sign up on my website, reesewaters.com. You have just seated. There is no way anybody with an operable brain would look at our platform and say, yeah, that's the way I want to go, so I'm just going to make sure that they can't vote. Hi, my name is Reese Waters, and I'm troubled. Don't forget to like the video and subscribe to the page. Now, remember when I showed you that clip detailing how Trump uses his goons to intimidate and threaten anyone who might stand in his way?
Now, Trump lied in an attempt to score some crude campaign points in a context that ought to be completely beyond crude politics. His partisans got rough with a civil servant who got in their way, and that civil servant ultimately dropped her complaint for fears of retribution. Does that sound familiar? Does it sound a little like the story of Alexander Vindman, the soldier and National Security Council staffer who blew the whistle on Trump's attempts to extort Ukraine for dirt on Joe Biden? Or maybe it reminds you of Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss, the Georgia election officials whose lives were threatened after Trump falsely accused them of rigging votes. Or maybe it reminds you of the threats against the women who have accused Trump of sexual assault. And all the public officials who have prosecuted or sued him, and all the judges who have ruled against him, and all the elections officials who refused to break the rules or falsify votes for him, and all the Republicans who voted to impeach him. In each of those cases, Trump has gotten away with intimidation, mafia-style gangster threats because rank-and-file Republicans let him, or in many cases just straight up help him. Using government power to make their partisan politics a sort of official state religion, and bullying anyone who gets in their way.
I mean, what happened to the party of law and order? The GOP has abandoned law and order longer than NBC has abandoned law and order. Are they ever coming back? Well, here comes Texas.
Like, for instance, the Volunteers for LULAC, that's the League of United Latin American Citizens, who are currently being targeted by the pro-Trump far-right Texas Attorney General.
Hearing from a LULAC member whose home was raided during a search authorized by Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. Now, the AG's office says it's investigating alleged election fraud and efforts to register non-citizens to vote.
They scared the hell out of me.
87-year-old Lydia Martinez says she was among those targeted by the search warrants. The longtime LULAC member helped senior citizens register to vote.
I feel that they're going to stop a lot of us from going out and doing our work. And that's what they want.
She said officers questioned her for hours, confiscated her phone and computer, and made her wait outside as they searched her home.
I said, let me get dressed. And she said, oh, go outside.
What were you wearing?
My nightgown. And I had all these policemen around me. It was embarrassing, humiliating. I was so angry. It was horrible.
I mean, the quintessential authoritarian nightmare, right? The knock at the door for protected political activity, for registering people to vote. So far, Ken Paxton's office has brought no charges. Those Latino volunteers have written the Department of Justice saying their civil rights were violated.
Now, Texas has been challenging Florida for months for the title of the most deplorable. Well, our governor said slaves learned valuable skills and that anything closely resembling the truth of U.S. history shall be deemed CRT. We literally still employ Ted Cruz. Where the chairman of our Republican Party and his activist wife, who's a co-founder of Moms for Liberty, got embroiled in a three-way scandal. Our governor praised the courage of the officers in Uvalde. Our governor has lifts in his shoes. We sent migrants in a bus up to New York City. We also sent migrants in a bus up to New York City. Well, our National Guard and state troopers actually blocked U.S. Border Patrol from access to the border. We have fully criminalized DEI as well as anything remotely close to efforts to uplift black people or any other disenfranchised community. 2 words: Dallas Cowboys. Now here comes Texas, as if the state's shameless pandering for Trump wasn't bad enough when it came to abortion.
An update to a story we brought to you on Friday. The Texas Supreme Court is blocking an abortion for a woman whose fetus has a fatal diagnosis. Kate Cox, who is 20 weeks pregnant, was warned by her doctor and multiple doctors that if she carries this pregnancy to term, it will likely jeopardize her health and future fertility. Despite this, the Texas Attorney General asked the state Supreme Court to step in, arguing Cox does not meet the criteria for a medical exception. Today is Monday, December 11th, and believe it or not, it is 2023, not 1923. And that's where we're going to begin this morning. This is an unsettling and all too common story. Once again, an aging white man faces indictments, is accused of covering up an affair, faced impeachment, and still his wrecking ball use of political power continues with brutal consequences on the lives of women. It sounds familiar. I'm actually not talking about Donald Trump. This time, it's another far-right Republican who considers it a compliment to be called Trumpy. After all, this man, according to Reuters, tried to sue Joe Biden over 50 times. on issues including immigration and gun rights and a ton of other garbage. I'm talking, of course, about Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton. Paxton is so desperate to mimic Trump, so desperate for Trump's support that he led a lawsuit in 2020 to challenge the results of that year's election in Trump's favor. The Supreme Court, of course, quickly threw that out. But that's how desperate he is. The man is so desperate to mimic Trump that he behaves in a cruel, brutal fashion and won't back down until a ill woman is physically and emotionally destroyed.
Which actually backfired, by the way. They went a little bit too hard in the paint on that one. They went a little bit too far. Listen to what Trump is saying now.
You overturn,
everyone does.
You
I think
overturn
everyone
Roe,
does, yeah.
and you want abortion to be a states' rights issue. In Florida, the state that you are a resident of, there's an abortion-related amendment on the ballot to overturn the 6-week ban in Florida. How are you going to vote on that?
Well, I think the 6 week is too short. It has to be more time, and so and I've told them that I want more weeks.
So you'll vote in favor of the amendment?
I am going to be voting that we need more than 6 weeks.
As if the state's shameless pandering for Trump wasn't bad enough on abortion, now
Early morning raids and utter confusion left even abuelitas standing on the sidewalks in their pajamas. So now a prominent Latino advocacy group is accusing the Texas Attorney General of voter intimidation and calling on the DOJ to do something about it. AG Ken Paxton's office executed a series of raids on the homes of Democratic leaders and activists, most of them Latino, in what he describes an ongoing probe into voter fraud. But here's the backstory in case you're not very familiar with Paxton. He's been an outspoken election denier and has also been accused of a wide range of misconduct, narrowly dodging an impeachment and even a criminal trial. He denies all the allegations. ABC News has reached out to Paxton for comment on the raids. We have not heard back, and so far no charges have been filed against those whose homes were raided. Juan Proaño is the CEO of the League of United Latin American Citizens. They are demanding accountability here. Juan, great to see you. What was your reaction when you first started getting those calls from your members telling you what happened?
We were, utter shock, to be very candid with you. We knew that, Paxton was going after nonprofit organizations. He had gone after the Archdiocese of Rio Grande Valley, for example, the Annunciation House. Our expectation was that he was going to go after LULAC as well. So we were very surprised when he started to go after Latino community leaders and even individual LULAC members.
So what do you say to AG Paxton's description of these raids as part of a voter fraud probe?
There's no merit to it at all. There's no evidence that was actually provided, even to the judge when they received these warrants. They're baseless. And we know for a fact, certainly as it relates to our members, that there is nothing at all to substantiate any voter harvesting, any voter fraud at all. To our knowledge, to the work that we do in the state.
Well, why do you think these specific people were targeted? I mean, clearly what stood out to us was seeing all the abuelitas there in their pajamas, standing on the sidewalks. I mean, it was a little crazy.
Lydia Martinez is salt of the earth. I mean, she has been a LULAC member for over 35 years. She's a member of the AI Forum. She has 5 brothers who served in the military. One of her brothers actually died in the Vietnam War and received the Silver Star for his service. These are Latino U.S. citizens that are committed to their rights, to civil rights, and all they're doing is going out there and helping other Latinos register to vote. Lydia, in the specific case, is certified by the state to actually vote. And they went in and they seized her phone, they seized her computer, they seized her calendar book with all of her contacts, doctor's appointments, prescription medicines, and they interrogated her for over 3 hours, in addition to leaving her outside in full view of her neighbors. And it is absolutely disgusting the way that they've handled these raids and these warrant seizures.
The Texas Senate Democratic Caucus has formally asked the federal government to investigate possible violations of Texans' voting rights. In a letter sent to the U.S. Justice Department on Friday and announced by Democratic Caucus Chair Senator Carol Alvarado of Houston, the upper chamber's Democratic lawmakers wrote that recent efforts by Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton and other state leaders have a disproportionate impact on Latinos and other communities of color, which is sowing fear and will suppress voting. Quote, based on media reports and complaints by fellow Texans, we have serious concerns that some recent actions taken by Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton and other state leaders may violate federal civil rights and voting laws. That's how the letter reads, and it's been signed by all 12 Democrats in the state Senate. And you might be watching and wondering, the Attorney General, the top cop violating civil rights and voting laws. Well, you probably live in a state where your AG's Wikipedia page doesn't read like this. Paxton was indicted in 2015 on state securities fraud charges relating to activities prior to taking office. He's pleaded not guilty. The case was delayed over various procedural issues, but in October of 23, his trial was scheduled for April of 24. In October of 2020, several high-level assistants in Paxton's office accused him of bribery, abuse of office, and other crimes. Paxton was impeached with bipartisan approval in May of 23 by the Republican-controlled Texas House of Representatives by a vote of 121 to 23, leading to his suspension. The articles of impeachment included allegations that Paxton gave preferential treatment to a political donor who bribed him, misapplied public resources, and made false statements against whistleblowers, obstructed justice in the securities fraud trial against him, and made false statements regarding his financial interests. In September of 23, the Texas Senate voted to acquit Paxton of all articles of impeachment, ending his suspension from office. Paxton is separately being investigated by federal prosecutors for these same legal issues on coinciding federal statutes. By the way, that's up at the top of his Wikipedia page before you get to the section breakdown. And Wikipedia is wildly conservative in what they allow to stay up there. Those are just the basic facts. So this is the guy that I'm supposed to believe has so much legitimate interest in voter integrity. I'll tell you what the real problem in Texas is. It's candidate integrity. I mean, that's so much smoke. You ain't got nobody else for Attorney General with just like a tiny fire? Just like maybe like a house fire around him. That's a 4-alarm apartment joint.
Ken Paxton, a corrupt politician whose alleged crimes include fraud, theft, bribery, and possible treason. He is now a fugitive on the run. Let's take a look. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton was at his home near Dallas when authorities showed up to issue him a federal subpoena. Paxton then immediately tried to escape. He snuck out his back door while his wife prepared a getaway truck. Paxton hopped in and the two sped off, evading the subpoena. This isn't Paxton's first attempt to evade the law. His story begins as a common thief. In this shocking video footage from 2013, you can see Paxton enter the courtroom and steal a $1,000 pen. In 2015, Paxton was indicted for felony securities fraud for ripping off his own clients. He has spent 7 years dodging his day in court. As Attorney General, Paxton has come under FBI investigation for abusing his office. His own employees have blown the whistle on him for taking bribes. Ken Paxton, on the run since 2015. He just might be the most corrupt politician in America.
Which leads us to Paxton's motivations. Now, LULAC had never formally backed a political candidate in its 95-year history until this month when it endorsed Vice President Kamala Harris. Bro, how sloppy is that? How sloppy are you gonna be? That's like breaking up with your girlfriend on February 13th or December 24th. You might want to give yourself a little leeway to make it a little less obvious you got laid off and you got no money for gifts. Come on. Trump has instructed the Republican National Committee to devote more resources to election integrity than traditional field work ahead of this election. We'll come back to that. Just last week, he insisted at a rally in North Carolina that the GOP's primary focus is not to get out the vote, it's to make sure that they don't cheat. You know, we've seen the leaks from Roger Stone.
We're working on it.
Well,
Lawyers, judges, technology.
Governors?
Some, but there aren't many letting go.
We got to use every lever we can.
We are doing that.
And the intentional placement and empowerment of election deniers in key positions in swing states.
And that brings us to the biggest threat, which is that many of these MAGA cult members have been able to obtain roles as county election officials who will have a role in certifying state election results. In a new report from the watchdog group Citizens for Responsibility and Ethics in Washington, titled Election Certification Under Threat, they point out that since 2020, more than 30 county officials across the country have voted to deny or delay certifying election results in violation of law, often citing false claims of voter fraud or irregularities. Among those, officials are avowed 2020 election deniers, individuals who acted as fake presidential electors for Donald Trump, and a criminally convicted participant in the January 6th insurrection who was later removed from office.
But for the Republican plans to challenge election results in court to succeed, there needs to be a convincing case. There's more than partisan politics at work. And you know, it's hard to make that case when all of a sudden you're raiding the offices of the group that just endorsed Kamala Harris the first time in 95 years. In targeting such a specific group in such a sloppy and shameless fashion, Paxton may have just undermined all of those efforts.
You are the weakest link. Goodbye.
Now, here is my big problem with all of this. Obviously, I'm a big proponent of people exercising their rights, people's ability to vote, the Voting Rights Act, and voter intimidation is not something that I take lying down. But let's just imagine you and I both own a burger joint right across the street from one another, okay? You spend all of your time and energy and effort trying to make sure that the people who come into the community know that your burger joint is there. In fact, you reach out to people outside of your community in case they might want to come in and enjoy your burger joint. You take suggestions on the kind of burgers they might like and use those suggestions in compiling your menu. Me, on the other hand, I spend all the time that you spend reaching out to people and taking suggestions, trying to slow down your ability to connect to those people and trying to make sure that those people have a harder time coming in and enjoying your burger joint. I spend all of my time trying to create construction projects and traffic jams to make people angry as they come in to enjoy your burger joint. At no point am I spending any of that time, I don't know, trying to make my burger joint decent, as opposed to honestly trying to attract voters. You engage in voter intimidation and voter suppression. Is there a bigger red flag to your platform than that? You have just ceded. There is no way anybody with an operable brain would look at our platform and say, yeah, that's the way I want to go, so I'm just going to make sure that they can't vote. It really kind of reminds me of that case in Alabama. You remember where I actually did a whole Races of the Week on it, where there was like a cabal of folks that just prevented everybody from voting, and they just nominated themselves, the mayor and the council, because they knew if there was any way that people would actually vote, that 80% black town would have booted them out in no time. There really should be a whole lot more to answer for when it comes to these kind of efforts on behalf of the GOP. The principle among them, why is your self-esteem so low that you don't trust people to be able to choose the better of the two platforms? Sincere thanks to everybody who's reached out to me and submitted suggestions for videos. Keep them coming. I take submissions for ideas for a video, suggestions for Races of the Week. If you have something that just troubles you, or you just want to send me a note, because I love getting those notes, go ahead and shoot me an email at reese@reesewaters.com. I also have a newsletter that I send out periodically, so you'll be receiving that as well. You can also sign up on my website, reesewaters.com.